welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows 17.
Andrew Meadows 17.
That's right.
The OG Meadows. I don't have anything. I am not the OG Meadows. I am just 17. I am here.
Just Andrew 17.
That's it.
I'm Colton 16, if that makes you feel better. We're all expendables here.
It's true. Aren't we all? I am here to talk about a Jong Boo-ho movie. Jong Boo-ho?
Bong Joon Ho, maybe?
Bong Joon Ho. Yeah, there we go.
That's the man.
That's
Sorry,
it.
we trust you with Guillermo del Toro. I'll take the Bong Joon Ho reins for the podcast. Yeah, we haven't had a Bong movie in quite some time. I think it's been since literally Parasite that Bong's been cooking. You know, he's been working on something, and he's been working on something called Mickey 17, which we're a little bit late to the party too, as is I guess really tradition for us on the podcast at this point. But we waited for it to be out on digital so that you didn't have to make a theater trip, and you were able to watch it from the comfort of your own home, I believe. So,
yes, I did.
And you know, it had a pretty quick turnaround. We'll get to that when we get to the box office breakdown and stuff of maybe why that was the case. But yeah, new Bong. We haven't had Bong since Parasite, and you know, I mean, that's a lofty standard to live up to. So we'll have to get into whether Mickey 17, you know, holds a candle to it, whether it's trying to hold a candle to it, or if it's maybe, you know, a little bit different for what you know, he's bringing to us. But excited to talk about Mickey 17. It's a film I was looking forward to because when Bong Joon Ho makes a movie, he's a filmmaker that you pay attention. You go check it out. Right. So even if we are late, we're talking about a Bong movie for a reason. It's because maybe there's something interesting to pull out of it. Maybe there's a few things that are interesting to pull out of it. I don't know.
Maybe
we'll get into that.
It's worth watching. We'll talk about it.
Maybe it's worth watching. We'll get into that as well. And I guess I should say, I guess we sort of would have mentioned this in the beginning of the last episode, that we were trying to do this as a package deal. We were going to talk about Mickey on the same episode as our CinemaCon coverage, but obviously that ended up being pretty exhaustive. We would not have had time to talk about Mickey unless we stayed up until 3 a.m. that night that we recorded, because we started off late and we talked about a lot of movies, trailers, everything coming out. And it was a really, really fun episode, but yeah, trying to do that plus Mickey would have been way.
I would have
too
had
much
absolutely
to pack in.
Zero steam, no steam.
It would have been rough going. It would not have done a movie like Mickey 17 justice to give it 5 minutes of perfunctory coverage just so we can check it off and, you know, check the box and move on with our lives. So I think it makes more sense to give it the space of its own episode. And I will say, and I said something along these lines to you, it's kind of nice. It's been a few straight episodes where we've had a guest on. And now we're kind of going back to formula with just the two of us, the two expendables, just shooting the shit, talking about a movie, which is you know, classic watch review repeat sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to at least editing this. I will say,
should be a little easier.
It's going to be a little bit of an easier task than it was for our CinemaCon episode, which took a little bit longer to put up because there were some technical things that happened. I don't want to say issues because they were kind of just like known. I just didn't realize how much work it would end up being. But either way, I think if anyone noticed any audio issues with that episode, I did my absolute best to clean everything up. But you know, it's one of those things where, you know, when we bring a guest in, you know, we got to do things a little bit differently, and we're working on syncing everyone up. And then, you know, just the way that things were recorded, there was some audio bleed, and I really tried my best to clean everything up, and I think I did a good job. I said I did the best I could. I think it's probably, you may not even notice it if I did my job well. Let's put it that way. But either way, the reason we didn't put that up early on Patreon is because it would have been unlistenable in its usual Patreon form, which is kind of the more raw version of the. You know, I just usually throw the audio files together, try to make sure they're relatively synced, and then, you know, then I go back and edit the weird gaps of, you know, and the bathroom breaks and the coughing and sneezing, like that kind of, you know, doesn't make the final product, the final release. that the Patreon supporters get to hear all the bodily functions and stuff, but they would have been hearing just garbled audio mess the entire time. It would not have been good. Not have been a good experience, and I didn't think that was fair to people that are literally paying us money to punish them with an inferior experience. So that's why there was no early Patreon release. So sorry for that. There will be for this one. So for those of you listening on Patreon, hey, you're listening to it early. So and thank you. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. I didn't bring it up to you before we recorded, but do you have a fun fact on Mickey 17? I'm sure you've got something else that you can regale the listeners with, or at least regale me with. Do you maybe need a minute? Maybe I could do a fun fact, and then maybe you could find something to regale me with in a minute.
Yeah.
Does that seem like
we could do that?
Deal?
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's not at all because you're unprepared or anything like that. It's because,
of course not. I'm never unprepared. I just have to pull my memory back. You know what I'm saying? I have to search deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, of course, totally. All right, a little bit of a fun fact for Mickey 17, which I don't know. You could say it's fun. So Robert Pattinson was, I think, kind of someone that Bong had in mind, like an early on, as kind of this dual role, playing Mickey 17 and maybe playing, other versions of Mickey, in this movie, Mickey 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. And so Bong had this idea of casting Robert Pattinson from an early point, offered it. Robert Pattinson immediately agreed to take the role after it was offered. And there's kind of two, without, I guess, getting too spoilery, I say dual role because there's kind of two Mickeys that are the most prominent in terms of the storytelling. And something that Robert Pattinson did when during the initial script reading was that he imitated voices of certain real people, which I think is very funny. So in the initial script reading, Robert Pattinson imitated the voices of Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O from Jackass to differentiate these two iterations of Mickey, which I think is very funny. And I think the funnier point, like the finer point on it, is Bong reportedly told him not to do the Steve-O impression in the movie. So I don't know if that means the Johnny Knoxville impressions survived to the final cut. But
that guy's something else.
Also compared the how we crafted these as Ren and Stimpy, like compared them to Ren and Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy. So and Robert Pattinson, man, he's an actor who's going to come up in the news and some very exciting news, I think. Little sizzle for the near future.
Ooh.
But he's a great actor. I mean, obviously coming from the Harry Potter Twilight days, he's come a long way. But he's legitimately an actor where I'm just like, if he's the lead in a movie, or if he's just in a movie, period, I find myself much more interested in it. Especially,
it's a wild turn of events.
Very much so. I mean,
yeah.
And I don't know when the shift really occurred. Like, I guess probably looking briefly, Good Time, The Lighthouse is probably around it, around that time. But really, 2020 on, it looks like Tenet, The Devil All the Time, The Batman did a voice in this, but The Boy and the Heron, and now Mickey 17. I mean, just, I don't know. I love what he brings to the table. So sometimes he brings people from Jackass to the table, when he's interacting with Bong Joon Ho anyway. So anyway, very, very interesting, very kind of fun backstory to the development of, again, two iterations of Mickey that we see in this movie. So, and I don't think this is a spoiler to say either, but there will be more. There are more iterations of Mickey in this movie. So we'll be talking about that. But right now, maybe we have something else to talk about. Maybe you have something else to talk about, I should say. Do you have anything else to talk about?
Well, I found out that Mickey 17 is based on a book.
That's true. It is based on a book of a different name, sort of.
A book called Mickey 7.
That's right.
And it's kind of strange because the movie was announced before the book was published.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing. So there you go. It's based on a book. There's some changes. From what I can understand, it sounds like the book is a little bit more philosophical, where maybe the movie is a little bit more kind of like, I don't know, just it's a little bit outlandish. It's a little bit, I don't know. We'll talk about what the movie is. But But from this quote, the concept of human printing is fascinating from the novel. But I wanted to pull it down to earth and make it more everyday and more direct to our everyday lives. So I don't know what the book would be. It'd be interesting to read it and figure out what it is about. But anyway, based on a book.
Yeah.
So it's about the extent of my fun fact. But I was prepared for a dad joke.
Oh, this is the one. I think today's the day. This is the episode where it finally happens for me.
I think it is.
Or
I agree with you.
Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, now the pressure's on. Okay, let's hear it.
That was a drum roll. What do you call a potato fighting in the Coliseum?
Okay. Trying to do something with Spud. Spud involved somehow. Potato.
If you make the pun better than the joke, that'd be good. It's like if you make the answer better than what
if I come up with a better answer, all right. I think Spud's maybe going in a different direction than what the answer will be.
Spudicus.
See, that's good. That's fucking good. That's not it, though, is it?
That's not it, but Spudicus would be
I'm co-opting that. I can't come up with anything better than that. Holy shit.
What about a gladiator?
Oh, boy. Gladiator. Yeah. Yeah. Spudicus is fucking, that is badass right there. That's incredible shit. You know, I said, like, I can, like, start with something and then I just yeah. Yeah.
All right, there
Comedian
we go.
Gene didn't make its way down to me. Didn't pass. Heretic. I guess the speaking gene didn't either. Hereditarily? Is that what I'm looking for?
Hereditarily.
Fuck me. I've had like 2 sips of a beer. What are we doing here? I guess I'm tired. Maybe that's what's going on. Either way, so we talked obviously a shit ton of news on the CinemaCon episode. We covered a lot of upcoming movies. I guess we didn't really talk about anything upcoming TV-wise, so we do have some TV stuff to catch up on this episode. But otherwise, we do have some news here. All headlines, no trailers. We covered a lot of trailers on the last one, so we're kind of taking a break from that. And then next episode, we'll pick back up, because there are some trailers that are coming out that were presented at CinemaCon but weren't released to the public. But now we're starting to get some of those kind of coming out. So we are going to talk about those, but not on this episode. We're going to talk about headlines that we haven't really had a great chance to catch up on just yet. So some of these are going to get going back a couple months, I think, or so. Just because we haven't had, I mean, you know, we've had a few straight episodes with guests. Captain America, obviously, we would have talked some news, but probably a lot of comic book, Marvel-centric news. The Oscars one was kind of all over the place with some news and stuff like that. But you know, and just generally speaking, catching up on some headlines, and then we'll be diving into Mickey 17. But we are going to start with an in memoriam section, and this is actually really kind of following up on something that was mentioned during our CinemaCon episode, but we didn't really address the fact that it happened, so kind of felt appropriate to address it now and give it a little bit more space instead of in the middle of a episode, you know, at the 2-hour mark or whatever. And that news, that the entry in our in memoriam section for this episode is that Val Kilmer passed away age 65, which is a bummer. Definitely a bummer. I really like Val Kilmer. I think just a very memorable, recognizable actor. 65 is too young. And I mean, I think he's probably most recognizable, I guess, arguably for Iceman, Top Gun, and brief reprisal of that role in Top Gun Maverick. Beyond that, he was fucking Batman and Batman Forever. In the era of the Batman movies that we kind of grew up on when we were little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Tombstone as well, Doc Holliday and Tombstone, Jim Morrison and The Doors, lots of other Willow, Willow with Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
The original before they did the TV
Tom Cruise
show.
too, right?
I don't know if he was on that. Not in Willow, but
no, he's in
certainly
Legend, isn't he? Tom Cruise is in Legend.
Yeah, they all kind of have like one in that sort of thing, that sort of field. But certainly plenty of other movies. One of my favorite movies of all time, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He plays Gay Perry in, which was a great fucking memorable performance. Lot of really really memorable performances. In 2015, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, which is probably why you haven't seen a lot of Val Kilmer in the past decade. Obviously, prior to him passing away, but he went through a lot of struggles, surgeries, chemotherapy, and ultimately it was pneumonia that took him April 1st. So but I think going through that obviously leaves your immune system in a very compromised fashion, so that something like pneumonia, which can be very serious, obviously, if it doesn't get addressed, but even if it does get addressed early on, sometimes your system's just not equipped to handle that sort of thing. There was a documentary that I never watched, but I think is still up on Prime Video. I think it was made by Amazon, called Val, which I think was about the life and career of Val Kilmer through and then following his battle with throat cancer. And I've heard it's a fantastic documentary. I would really, really like to watch that. I guess a shame of mine that I haven't seen it yet, even now, since his passing, but it's definitely on my list of things to watch. And I don't know, for me, Val Kilmer is just I just always liked him. I don't know I ever saw a Val Kilmer performance I disliked, is kind of my honest take. And like I said, 65 is really just too young. So I'm going to say rest in peace to Val Kilmer. I don't know if you have other things you want to say, other movies that stood out to you, maybe. I don't know.
It's always been Doc Holliday, man. Doc Holliday for me is just ingrained in my brain. I spent a lot of time watching Tombstone. I've seen Tombstone countless times. Memorable role. Of course, Batman, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iceman, like all the things that you said, and he's always been. I can never feel like he was in a ton of things, but he was always a powerhouse in the things he was in. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I say, he's just an actor that I've always really enjoyed. So, sucks, man. Sucks. That's the way it goes. Rest in peace, dude. No more
that's
struggles.
All that needs to be said. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk some headlines then. Let's move on. Talk some headlines. Some interesting things here. Some not fun things to talk about as well, but some fun things as well.
Jesus. It's almost like
good news. Some good news. Some bad news.
Repeatedly. That's what the movie we're talking about. It's just countless death. The whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Jesus.
Yep. Pretty much. So Ocean's 14 is apparently maybe going to be happening. And it will be directed, if all the talks work out, it will be directed by David Leitch, who you may recognize as a co-director of the first John Wick, but more recently has done things like The Fall Guy, Bullet Train, Hobbs and Shaw, Deadpool 2, and wouldn't you know it, a movie that means a bit to the both of us, Atomic Blonde, because it was one half of our first episode ever. So David Leitch is one of the first directors that we ever talked about on the podcast, which is pretty fun. But yeah, Ocean's 14. No word on exactly who the 14 would be comprised of, but it does seem like George Clooney will be back. Brad Pitt will be back. You would expect the other mainstays to be there: Matt Damon, Don Cheadle, Casey Affleck. To me, the question is, are they folding in with the Ocean's 8 crew? Are you going to get Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett and Awkwafina and company all back too? I think that could be interesting. So I don't know. What do you think? Ocean's 14, David Leitch, does that intrigue you?
Yeah, I've always been an Oceans fan. I just think Oceans are a lot of fun. You know what I miss? I miss two kinds of movies I feel like don't get made anymore. I miss the classic adventure movies. I know we don't. I'm getting in the weeds here. Okay, but classic adventure movies, like
what's an example?
the Indiana Jones,
or
the Goonies. we were watching something the other night, and I can't remember exactly what it was.
Uncharted.
It was a movie we were
Didn't
watching
you see
with
Uncharted?
the baby. Yeah, they did make that. I guess I'm wrong.
Good ones. Good adventure movies.
And the other one, a good heist movie, fun heist movies, fun adventure movies, and fun heist movies. I feel like those. I don't know. I feel like they just don't get made anymore. So yeah, I'm excited about, like The Italian Job. I really like The Italian Job. That's a fun heist movie. I like, Now You See Me's. I feel like the Now You See Me's or whatever they are, I feel like those are kind of schlocky a little bit, but they're still toting the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's the Ocean's movies, but the Ocean's movies are a lot more than the Now You See Me movies, I feel like. And I like those
think they're
movies.
like pure heist.
Yeah, I'm here for an
movies,
Ocean's
you know what I
14.
mean? Like Now You See Me's got the magic element.
Yes.
It's a bit. It's doing a few different things at once. Ocean's it's a heist. It's a heist movie. There's a big score to be had, and you gotta get a crew of maybe 11, maybe 12, maybe 13, maybe 8, maybe 14. And that's the magic number. So
yeah.
I kind of agree. I enjoy this franchise. I think it's not a franchise that's certainly been overdone to this point. You know what I mean? You had the trilogy, and you had a big break. You had 8. It's kind of been a big break since 8 came out too. So yeah, I'm curious to see more. See what they do with it. So I guess we'll keep tabs on that as things maybe come together. Probably a couple years away, I would say. It seems like it's still pretty early on everything here, but yeah. All right.
Just make a good movie, that's what I say.
Well,
good movie.
Easier said than done, it would seem.
I guess, yeah.
But,
I guess so.
But
true.
Moving on, some TV news, getting out of the film world for a little while. We may be getting a Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel series, which is pretty interesting. I don't know that it's a show that you ever watched back in the day, although I'm sure you at least...
No, I know you're a big fan, though.
You at least know what Buffy is, and you're not unfamiliar with Buffy, just maybe not a fan yourself. I really enjoyed Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I never finished it. I never watched Angel. I kind of fell off at a certain point, and not because it was bad, just because I think life and then by the time you go back, you're like, oh, it's like 7 seasons of shit I should watch, and then it just doesn't happen. But either way, we are getting, at the very least, a pilot has been ordered at Hulu, which, theoretically, if it's enjoyable, successful, they would then go on and make a series. And the word is that Sarah Michelle Gellar, aka Buffy herself, is going to be in this project, although the focus of the show would be on a new Slayer, so she wouldn't be the main character. So it would be a, series set in the Buffy universe, not necessarily Buffy the Vampire Slayer 2.0 or, the continuing adventures of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, stuff like that. So, which I think is probably the right direction to take, is, maybe a passing of the torch type of thing could be interesting. So, Chloe Zhao is attached to direct and executive produce. She did Nomadland and Eternals, 2 wildly different projects, but ones that she both worked on.
Wow.
Both directed. And so that's kind of what's going on with that. So again, I know you're not necessarily a big Buffy fan or anything like that, but what say you? Do you still want to pass judgment on this anyway?
I mean, if it's good, I could be interested in it. I know Buffy was good. That was Joss Whedon thing, right?
It was, yeah, big Joss Whedon
Buffy?
thing. Probably not involved in this. In fact, he's definitely not involved in this.
That's probably safe to say.
But yes,
yeah.
it was very much his baby. So yeah, one would think this would probably take on a little bit of a different tone, different feel, given that it would be coming from different creatives. But
it could be something that I could be into. I mean, I don't know why it was. I just don't think I ever. The only exposure I had to it was going over to Colton's house, and Buffy's probably going to be on, when I come over, and then, and then we'll turn it off and do something.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's I had never really been exposed to it in any sort of true capacity. So I don't know. I'm not vested.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right. Well, I mean, and I think if they do this right, this could get new audiences on board. That's kind of you don't want this to be exclusively for people that grew up watching Buffy, because then you're limiting the audience. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that people that don't know Buffy we're still gonna, vibe with something like this. So either way, this is also a bit away from happening. It's a pilot order. Doesn't mean it'll actually turn into something, full on, but it seems like all the, the pieces are there to make something good. So, if they can just make a good version, and then they'll probably make a season of it. And if they can make that good, maybe they'll make more seasons of it, But again, easier said than done. Easier said than done. All right. Are you ready to talk about something that's maybe a little less fun than a Buffy sequel series? You want to bring the mood down quite a bit, in fact?
Yeah, let's dive in. Sounds like a great plan.
Oh yeah, really, really good stuff. You've heard of the Sandman, right? You know a thing or two about the Sandman. Maybe you watched the first season of the Sandman on Netflix.
Yeah, I've read probably 6 graphic novels of the Sandman, and I've also indulged on the Netflix show. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, you want good news or bad news first? How do you want to do this?
Let's do the good news. What's the good news?
The good news is you only have to wait until July to see more of the Sandman. Everything else is bad news. The bad news is you will have to wait for 2 different volumes to release in the month of July, because they're splitting the second season into 2 parts. So you're going to get 6 episodes July 3rd, 5 episodes on July 24th, and probably the bigger blow is that's all the Sandman you're getting. It is done so after its second season. It's going to be ending, which is in a vacuum a little bit of a surprise. I think there's a lot of content, a lot of source material that probably won't be covered, or they're gonna be rushing through some stuff to try to cover it all. I don't know how that's gonna work, it sounds like, just from reading through things, it sounds like because it's a relatively pricey show to make, it may have already been on its way out. Maybe the plan was only just to do the 2 seasons and then that was that. So maybe it's skipping past some of the middle material to finish with some of the later material. I really don't know.
Okay.
I think the biggest reason, or at least maybe it was fortuitous that they were already planning on ending it, is the Sandman, based on a comic written by Neil Gaiman, and Neil Gaiman.
Did Neil Gaiman do something?
Is not a good man. He's not a good man. So I think that anything with his name on it right now is pretty much ready to be thrown into the toilet for reasons that we can get into very briefly. But suffice it to say, Neil Gaiman has been named by, I think, now close to 10 women and accused of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, abuse, and what I can say is there's more graphic, detailed accounts of things that he did to these women, and they're real bad. They're real bad. Not just like misunderstanding bad, but like straight up like maybe this man should maybe be imprisoned bad. And I don't know that it's going to come to that. I think he has been sued by some of these women. I think the most recent thing that came out is he's countersued someone saying that they broke an NDA because he apparently paid this woman to not tell the press about what he did.
You can't do that. You can't. You signed a paper. You can't.
So it's like I guess it may be true. She did maybe tell things that were breaking an NDA, but I don't know. Is that really the hill you're going to die on? Of
Right.
like you weren't supposed to tell people why I paid you off? Yeah, I don't know. So
Not
anyway,
a good look.
real bad stuff. Really bad stuff. So again, is it going to amount to criminal charges, convictions? I don't know. Maybe not. There's obviously complications in terms of legally pursuing stuff like that. But either way, there's a lot of very detailed accounts from multiple women. I think that it's fair to say, not a good man. Neil Gaiman, not a good man. And obviously it sucks. For the number one reason being, you shouldn't do these horrible things to people. You shouldn't do these horrible things to women. And apparently his wife was involved in some of this stuff too.
Yeah, just fucking weird.
Just rabbit hole of horrible shit to talk about. Just to leave it there, put it very, very, very mildly. number two, it sucks because, it's a now a classic case of someone who we thought, was a very talented, I guess is a talented author, has brought us a lot of stuff that we've enjoyed, the stuff that we liked, and has always been very, brought us very interesting material and done it in a very interesting way. Now you got to throw him in the bin, and kind of, reconsider your thoughts on someone who probably up until a few months ago you really respected and enjoyed, and when you saw his name attached to things, you thought, oh, cool. I'm
one of my favorite authors,
just
really.
by virtue of him being there alone. So that's again, that's the second thing of just being like, number one, horrible, obviously. Number two, for me on a personal level, for you on a personal level, like it hurts too, because you don't want people that you idolize and respect and think that are, very good at their craft to just turn out to be, horrible people. You don't want that. You don't wish that. You don't hope for that. And unfortunately, that may be the reality that we kind of live in. And so,
big bummer, man.
So I think that is certainly another reason, in addition to it being expensive, maybe not getting the viewership that would justify the price tag. That's probably a big, big reason why Netflix is probably saying sayonara to the Sandman and letting things kind of wrap up with this second season. But it does put a kind of dark cloud on it where I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't watch the first season. I'm not sure that I will, like, I don't know. It kind of like, there's so many other things to watch. Like, do I, and it's obviously punishing to probably the tons and tons of good people who did work on that show, the tons of actors and actresses and, who probably put their heart and soul and it doesn't mean the material is automatically bad, but there's just, there's such a stink about it now for me that it's kind of hard to, hard to engage with it in a sort of way. And like, I'm not going to begrudge you. I'm not going to begrudge anyone that wants to watch this because it theoretically could be good. It should be good, but yeah, it's just, it's a lot to process, and it's just, it's just really, really, really unfortunate to again, putting it extremely, extremely mildly. It's very, very unfortunate, but this is the end of the road. It sounds like for the Sandman, and the end of the road for probably a lot of Neil Gaiman adaptations. I think Good Omens was maybe going to get another season, which I guess maybe will happen without him, but at the very least, is probably not going to wrap up in the form that it was going to wrap up in. I think there was other stuff that he'd been attached to, which is all basically being shuttered or, saying, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We have other things we can do now. So anyway, like I said, lot to process, a lot there. I think you've probably engaged with and enjoyed more of Neil Gaiman's works than I have. So, it's gotta,
I can open my phone and go to the Audible. Okay. And I think I would say probably 60% of his stuff is in my Audible, maybe 70. Like, I've got a shit ton of Gaiman stuff in my Audible. I look over at my bookshelf. I can immediately see like 4 novels on my bookshelf, I've always been a real big fan of his works, and the things that he puts on paper and on screen. You know what I mean? I watched the American Gods, the first season. I don't think I got into the second season. I had, once again, we've hit the transition to his stuff to like the live action medium, with the exception of probably Good Omens, has been real rough, right? Like it's real hit or miss. I thought they did a good job with the Sandman though. And it's real unfortunate. Like you say, there's other people that me watching Sandman supports, but it also supports him. And like you say, whenever you watch that, you got to think about him going to court and paying the judge, or not the judge, paying the lawyer, to defend his NDA. And that's my time, or that's the money that I'm paying him. You know what I mean? And that's fair. It's at the same time, the guy that plays Sandman needs to eat. Right, so it's a tricky situation. I've always gone back and forth with this. The past decade's been a real revealing light to the way a lot of assholes are.
This is not the first time something like this has happened, and it obviously casts a different light on things that we just talked about Joss Whedon. He right. I don't think it's quite to this level. Don't get me wrong, but it was clear that, his behavior, I think maybe even during Buffy and other shows and stuff that he's worked on was at a minimum very toxic, and just, there's a reason that Whedon is not making a Buffy sequel series, and so, it's good that there are consequences in some ways of, hey, maybe don't let shitty people continue to make art, even if it is good art and they're capable of making good art. Like, we shouldn't reward bad behavior with forgiving them because, oh, but they do cool stuff and we like cool stuff. Like, that's right. Not enough. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean like I said, like retroactively, it's I think people are going to look at it very different ways. I mean, it's not the same situation either, but Harry Potter, man, like, is just J.K. Rowling cannot shut the fuck up on the internet. And it's just, it's hugely damaging to, I think, people that loved that franchise growing up, and like, how am I supposed to support this thing that I love when this person is actively spewing hateful shit day in, day out? Like,
she's hateful and inflammatory, different. But not like I feel like there's
different levels.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Different levels.
Right.
I'm not equating the two behaviors. I do think that it should be understood that there is a different level, but I think it's the similar principle.
It is a similar principle. Yeah.
Both are doing horrible things, different levels of horrible things. And it's just like, I'm never doing this again. I'm burning my Harry Potter books. I'm burning my Sandman comics. Like, I don't know. Or are you just sticking them in a bin, sticking them in the basement, and in 10 years, maybe when these people hopefully die, you're like, maybe I can pull it out of storage. I don't know.
And,
or is it, I'm just not going to, I'm going to enjoy what I enjoy, but I'm not going to keep buying. There's so many different ways. I don't think there's a right way. I mean, maybe there's a wrong way, but I don't think there's one right way to police people's behavior about how to handle stuff like this. I mean, I think, you should respect the fact that, like, these women have come out and, and have told, about these awful things. But, again, I don't know that there's one right way, and I'm not going to tell people how to live their lives. So like I said, you want to watch The Sandman on Netflix, hopefully you're watching it for the reasons of, well, I think Neil Gaiman's awesome, and I don't believe any of this shit. Like, hopefully you're not doing that. I'm sure there will be a section of people that will be doing that, just to spite these women particularly. But I think that if you are, I think you just got to engage with it, and be conscious about these sorts of things. That's kind of my general sense of it. But
yeah, I was, I think I'll wait to see what the critical reception of it is. Because like I say, in one hand, I know that, and don't get me wrong, okay, I think watching an episode of The Sandman probably pays him like 3 cents or whatever. You know what I mean?
Like, what does it actually amount to? I don't know. Hard to say. Maybe there's a morality clause in his contract with Netflix where they can be like, no, we can get out of paying him any money because, like, even despite his, I don't know. We don't know anything about that. But it's the fact that I am enjoying a horrible, a horrible dude's thing. It makes me feel a certain way, At the same time, if we hop on, and if it's critically received as like it's well put together, the cinematography's awesome, it's well acted, and the story arcs are entertaining and this and that. Well, then there's more levels to it than just him. You can rationalize it any number of different ways. But I was depending on how it goes, as a person that's a fan of a lot of his works, I'm pretty much in the corner of, I'm going to wait to see how it does critically. If it's well received, I'll probably watch it. If it's not well received, I'm fine with not watching it. You know what I mean? At the same time, give the American Gods treatment of like, well, there was one season I like that, and that's that.
Yeah, and the other seasons are shit. That's okay. That happens. It's time to bail. At the same time, I'm not going to go out and buy I'm not going to go out and buy a Sandman comic. I actually have a shit ton of Sandman comics in my the Christmas wish list. Actually, just thinking about it, I got to remove them because I'm not going to buy them. I'm not going to. I don't need to do that. You know what I mean? Don't have the time to it. I'm not invested. In those, I'm vested in it, but I don't own them and I don't need to get them. I don't have the time to read them anyways. So, printed works are definitely out. I'm not going to buy any more shit.
Yeah, and I think
I might stream it.
That's a very reasonable stance.
But I'm not
might
gonna
stream it. You could sail the high seas if you really, really wanted to read it. It's like, if you can think about engaging with art in a way that's not going to benefit the horrible person, it's not to say that their art is inherently not valuable, but I do think there probably is going to be a period of time where you should think about whether you really should be doing that in the first place. And again, I think it's different when you're talking about the second and final season of a streaming show. Maybe this allows you to kind of put it to bed, and that's that. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to begrudge anyone for watching this show. I think that, especially when you're talking about a comic book versus a show. I mean, a show with, hundreds and hundreds of people working on it. Again, presumably people who, probably got a paycheck, but may stand to benefit from this doing well. If it's critically well received, it might get them better jobs. And, there's a number of things, that probably put a lot of heart and soul into it, not knowing, these sorts of things at the time it was being made, and now kind of stand to get punished from it too. And that's not necessarily fair to those people. So,
like you say, it doesn't invalidate like the art itself, you know what I mean? The characters, the written things, and that's something else. You have people that came in and wrote the show.
If there are some messages in there that conflict with the types of things that he did, it's kind of just like, all right, well, that's questionable. You can
certainly look at things under a different lens. That's for sure.
Definitely a different lens. Absolutely. So anyway, I didn't want to spend 20 minutes on this, but obviously it's not. I'm not blaming you. I think it's just we haven't talked about it on the show, and it needed to be talked about because I'm sure it's not the first time we've talked about anything related to Neil Gaiman. It's probably not even the 10th time. It's probably more than that. I mean,
but it's probably the last.
A lot of episodes, but it might very well be the last, unless you watch the Sandman season 2 and you can report back. But
and I think I could even go as far as to not glorify it too. I can watch it in the sanctity of my home and not spread the word about it either.
Sure. And yeah, it is what it is. Some horrible shit, but that's probably going to be it. Probably going to be it for some Neil Gaiman stuff. Certainly on this pod, and probably for hopefully ever, but probably at least for a good while in terms of film, TV content that will be relevant to our interests. So moving on from that, I think everything else on here is good. I think we're past the bad. I think we're past all of the bad. Onto interesting. Something I'm really curious to get your take on. Hasbro and Legendary teaming up to bring us a Magic the Gathering film and television universe.
Do what?
Sounds like they're going to start with the movie, and then get into some TV show territory. Is the general landscape of what's to come. You're the Magic the Gathering guy here, so I really have to defer to you on all this. How the hell does this work? Is there a lot of lore here that they can draw from? Is there a story, or is it like what are they doing here? Like, what does this look like?
So Magic the Gathering has a rich, well-developed, super. It's been around since 91, I think. And it's got a tremendous amount of lore.
90s,
tremendous amount of lore. I've never read anything from Magic the Gathering. I know that there's books, there's online things you can read. The bottom of cards, there's like lines, I just grabbed one, says, as the line faltered, the thunder of hoofbeats heralded desperately needed aid. There's like quotes and stuff from different characters. So there's it's got a tremendous amount of shit. They can do a lot of different things. A lot of it's really cool. I don't know hardly any of the, I know a little bit of the lore, only with the decks that I play with. I know a little bit of it, but there's a lot of shit. So, if we end up doing anything with Magic the Gathering, there is a Magic the Gathering expert that I know that we can have on as a guest, and he could do a very, very deep dive of all things MTG. So, that's cool.
Well,
I think you're gonna have cool cartoons, like anime stuff would be pretty cool. You could have some cool live action, be very
Okay,
expensive.
a lot of potential there.
But I think anime is probably a good medium.
It's very, very fantasy, obviously. So
yeah.
I know nothing about it other than obviously it's a very, very popular card game.
It's fucking good, dude. It's fucking
a handful
good.
Of your cards, probably more than a handful of your cards at this point. But purely, you know, what is this in terms of tone, feel, story, characters like that? I've got no idea about. So it's a wide open, but it feels like something I'd probably, you know, like maybe I'm not going to get into the card game.
You could.
But if all the shit's really cool, I don't know. This could get me, you know, a movie, a TV show that could work potentially. So, all right. So it sounds like you're open to this. Sounds like, you know, this is not just like, oh, what the fuck are they doing here?
Yeah, no,
I mean, the trailer for something,
especially
then
like,
it's probably like, oh, what are they doing here?
They put out little, like when they release new sets, which is a new like bulk of cards, right? Oftentimes what they do is they put out like 2-minute commercials or whatever, and they're like these animated things, and they look really badass. A lot of cool stuff. I recommend you guys watch like the Bloomborough. Bloomborough had an awesome like little animated thing. There's like these little forest creatures and shit. It's really cool. You should watch it. So yeah, okay. I'm here for it. It's cool stuff.
They're gonna turn that into movies and TV shows, maybe.
Makes me happy. That's cool.
See what happens. This is very early days. We'll be getting a lot more information. We'll be getting more information in probably the next few years before we really see anything really come together, I would suspect. So it's happening, at least right now. It's happening. They're working behind the scenes to put it all together.
Cool.
Which is actually pretty similar to what's going on with our next piece of news, which is what DC Studios is up to behind the scenes, cooking up the new DC universe. So we've got an update courtesy of James Gunn and Peter Safran, who run DC Studios, on their upcoming slate of film and television shows. So we got I think we got the Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters video. Oh, I don't know, probably a couple of years ago now, roughly, kind of, you know, showing off, we're going to do this movie, Superman, blah, 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 you know, a bunch of that. This was a little different. I think they held a press event and kind of just talked about it, and then it was kind of like an open forum where they, you know, were asked about certain projects and where they are with certain things. And so we've kind of got like a rundown of like what's going on with everything.
Okay.
So there's stuff that's in the works now, very much in the works and production, and then there's a slew of things that they've confirmed as coming out, they've dated, and then there's some updates on like the stuff that's been previously announced that's maybe either not happening or on the back burner and stuff like that. So we're just going to kind of run through this. Superman is coming out. It's right around the corner, July.
Oh my God.
Deep in post-production on that. So we're coming up on Superman in just a few months' time, which is very, very exciting. James Gunn has also been simultaneously working on season 2 of Peacemaker, coming to Max in August.
Busy guy.
Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is about halfway through production. Well, I guess it's a little bit more now because this is news from a little while ago. Millie Alcock starring as Supergirl, so that's going to be coming summer of 2026. And of course, production has started on the Green Lantern TV show Lanterns with Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre as Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. That's going to debut on Max, HBO, early 2026, it's expected. So that's what's in production right now. That's fully in production. Those are happening, definitely getting made. The goal, it sounds like, is two films, 1 animated film per year, and then 2 live action and 2 animated shows per year. And that's for all of DC Studios. That's kind of their goal. And it sounds like not all of that is part of one central canon and an MCU style. Like some of the stuff will be the Batman Part 2, which is separate from it. Some of it will be Joker 2, but they probably won't make a Joker 3 because Joker 2 bombed. But, you know, there might be some like kid-friendly animated shows that aren't part of the greater DC universe, but they're using DC characters and stuff like that. So that's kind of the basic idea of it. And so what James Gunn basically said is, you know, the way they have a general, you know, basically approach of these are definitely the stories we want to tell. You know, these are the characters we want to hit on. There's a general plan. It sounds like there's like a 6-year plan before they, you know, build up to maybe like an Avengers Endgame style event. Is kind of the idea. Is at some point there will be a big crescendo for the universe, but they're not locked into any one thing. The big overriding, I guess, mission statement is they will only make something if they're happy with a good script, with a completed good script. Nothing's getting greenlit until James Gunn personally reads it and says, "I like this. Let's make this thing."
What an incredible novel idea.
It's certainly different from the MCU thing of we're going to make Blade and then we'll figure out everything else after the fact. And in some instances it's been fine, in some instances it's been a disaster. You know what I mean? So I do think that's probably a fair way of running things. Is, hey, I don't want to make this thing unless it's actually going to be good. And we haven't seen anything from them yet. So who's to say if James Gunn's sensibilities of whether the script is good enough are the same as his prowess making films. He's certainly been very good at making films. So I don't know. Either way, here's kind of what we have on other stuff going on. We have a Clayface movie officially confirmed, based on the Batman villain. Has a director. It's going to be shooting this summer 2025. The director is James Watkins, who did Speak No Evil most recently. I think James McAvoy remake, if I'm not mistaken. From a script by Mike Flanagan. That's going to have a fall 2026 theatrical release. Sergeant Rock is happening. It's a period war movie from Luca Guadagnino, which was maybe going to have Daniel Craig in the lead, but will not have Daniel Craig in the lead. I think maybe Colin Farrell was being reportedly involved in that in some capacity, which is interesting because obviously he's involved in a different side of the DC universe, buried under a lot of makeup with Penguin. But Clayface, Gunn pointed to as an example of, we had no plans on making a Clayface movie, which makes sense. Why would you have plans of making a Clayface movie? But he was just blown away by the strength of the script that they just said, fuck it, we're going to make this movie, which I kind of respect. But beyond that,
Swamp Thing.
We are going to be
thing.
So less good news on some other things. I guess let's go there. Swamp Thing is, I think. Still, it sounds like they said they have conversations with James Mangold, but it doesn't sound like it's anywhere close to being part of that. And some of the other ones where, things have cooled. They were supposed to do a Waller TV show. He's described it as a bumpy road. Booster Gold said that they had a showrunner, but has gotten busy, so they've had to pivot from that. The Authority was announced, but said that it hasn't been much of a priority and that the script has had a harder time coming along. And then, Swamp Thing. And honestly, kind of on the same page has been some Batman stuff. Batman Part 2, we're still waiting for a final full script from Matt Reeves for the Batman Part 2, so who knows what the fuck's going on there. I think that's currently dated for 2027. The Brave and the Bold, which would be the DCU's own Batman, was announced with the director, but they're still very much in the scripting stage, and it doesn't sound like there is a script in place just yet. So it's still a good ways away, it would sound like. As far as, other, and I guess, extended universe or Elseworld stuff, rather, sounds like Penguin Season 2 is a maybe, but, probably not a lock or anything like that. And I think, that's more or less it. It sounds like, some of the stuff like the Wonder Woman sort of TV show, the Paradise Lost, it sounds like that's kind of still there, but not a huge priority from what it sounds like. So, yeah. And then they announced 3 animated TV shows kind of more skewed towards children. My Adventures with Green Lantern, DC Superpowers, and Starfire. And yeah, it's kind of all over the place. One of the nice things about having the video is it's kind of laid out nice. This was kind of all over the place, while the articles about it are kind of all over the place. So my coverage of it, telling you about it's kind of all over the place. So I'm just like, yeah, they did this. Oh yeah, and they talked about this. Oh yeah, and this.
So when my brain works, it's okay.
He confirmed that there is a story, a movie that is going to involve the characters of Deathstroke and Bane, but it's not necessarily a Deathstroke and Bane movie. It's what it sounds like, but it's still there's a script there anyway. Yeah, and so some of the things are still in development, but they're not like nothing. It doesn't sound like anything has been fully jettisoned. We're not absolutely doing that, but it does sound like things are lower priority than others. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned this, but a Teen Titans movie. They're the same screenwriter that worked on Supergirl is working on a Teen Titans script, but it's in the scripting stage. So no, it's not. It has not passed the James Gunn sniff test of we are making this movie. So a lot there. I think, obviously it sounds like they want to make a lot of stuff, and there's a couple things that are like Clayface, and Sergeant Rock sound like kind of the closest to the next movies potentially to be coming out, beyond Superman and Supergirl, which is certainly interesting. In one ways you kind of, respect the approach and the way that Marvel came out the gates with an Iron Man and a Thor and a Captain America, probably, mostly out of necessity because that's who they had the rights to. Like, there is maybe something to be said for, all right, we don't have to come out the gate with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman as our big three movies. But obviously those would probably sell pretty well. So, how much money is a Clayface movie going to make? Honestly, how much money is a Superman movie going to make? It's a character that's been hard to crack cinematically probably in the last 30, 40 years. So, remains to be seen. But either way, that's your update. That's your scatterbrained, all over the place update on the DCU. Some stuff going on. Anything in there? What do you? I'm
really impressed with their strategy. They don't want to make a movie unless it
make a good
like
thing. It's what we've talked about. We talked about multiple times. Like, just make a good thing. That's it. That's their strategy. Is
and it's
good?
interesting.
Yes, make it.
Like, we're gonna make a Clayface movie. Yeah, you know why? Why? Because we got a pretty good script here. Could be. This sounds like something solid. Okay, I don't know. The rest is just.
Sure, you don't want to just make a Batman movie because it's Batman.
Yeah,
and,
I'm pretty.
We'll figure it out. We'll just start shooting without a script. It's Batman. It sells itself.
Jesus.
Toys.
I don't know. Yeah, it's. I'm surprised that they had to go out and say that. We just want everybody to know that we're not greenlighting things unless they have a good script. It's.
Yeah, some of these are going to be trash. Ant-Man, we're looking at you. That third one, we knew it was going to be bad. Black Widow should have made it 5 years ago. Yeah, it is what it is. Eternals, maybe it was a stinker. But, we knew that. We knew it was going to be stinker just because, we had to figure it out the day of. But, tell you what, Black Panther 2 is going to be real good. Guardians 3 is going to be real good. That's
a mess, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. That sounds good. I mean, DC has a lot of really good shit. I would like a Constantine. I'd like a Swamp Thing. I'd like a, what is it? Justice League Dark. That's what I want.
Justice League Dark. That would be cool. Yeah.
But at this point, I'll just take some good stuff. I haven't jumped down the rabbit hole of what's out there now, like the Peacemaker, the animated one with the.
Oh yeah, Creature Commandos.
Yeah, I haven't jumped down that rabbit hole at all. But
there's not a ton there. I mean, so I think Superman's the real kickoff.
Superman's the real. As far as I'm concerned, that's not going to be my.
You'll probably see that in theaters. So
yeah, that's going to be my jump off point. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Give me good stuff.
All right, agreed. A few more new headlines, and then we're on to Mickey 17. Neill Blomkamp is going to be doing a new adaptation of Starship Troopers, classic sci-fi novel by Robert A. Heinlein, which is interesting. I think also sort of thematically tied into Mickey 17. Mickey 17's got some Starship Troopers-esque creatures involved in it, so little synergy there. But yeah, not a remake of the Paul Verhoeven 1997 film, but rather a new adaptation of the original novel. Neill Blomkamp is, a filmmaker who
is a filmmaker.
He's a filmmaker. He's made films. It should be said he's made films. Who came out the gate with District 9, which is an incredible film, still his best film, and in fact, it's not even close to nothing he has made has even touched District 9, but it is what it is. He did Elysium, Chappie, Gran Turismo, which was better than expected.
Hey, that's true. That is true. Maybe he's on the upward swing.
Yeah, and it just kind of feels like I don't know. I think he's had a lot of like almost things. Like he was going to do an Alien sequel, and then he was going to do RoboCop at one point?
I think
he was going to do a bunch of shit that just has basically never happened. And this kind of maybe is like, well, I've heard this story before, but I guess this isn't necessarily a sequel or like a reboot or anything like that. Or I guess it's sort of a reboot. I guess that's probably the fairest way to put it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think again, District 9, Starship Troopers, there's a little bit of, like connective tissue there. I think that could make sense for someone. Like I could think that Neil Blomkamp could be someone that could make a good version of that. I think that 97 one's it's a classic, I think, in its own sort of way. But I would be curious to see this, I guess, is my overall stance on it. I don't know how you feel about it. I've not read the original novel. I don't know how true to it is, but
yeah, I've never read the original book, but I have watched Starship Troopers quite a bit. That was a big staple for me. I like the commentary. I like just the sci-fi nature of it. I think it's an outstanding movie, classic movie. Which, if I'm a big fan of the movie, I would imagine I'm going to be, intrigued to imagine it. I don't know. Imagine it follows the same kind of lines at least. So yeah, no, really eager to watch it. I think, I hope it's more District 9 and less. Don't get me wrong, Gran Turismo was totally fine, and it was better than what I expected. But I hope he's given it his all. You know what I'm saying? I hope it's not just like Hollywood shell out kind of deal.
Yeah, and I think for something like Starship Troopers, like it's such a strong satire, at least again, my understanding of it from the film, the Verhoeven film. Again, I don't know how true it is from the original novel, but I assume he wasn't just pulling that out of nowhere. Like there's a lot of thematic content that obviously is told to you through this package of, oh, we're shooting all these bugs, sort of thing. But there's a lot deeper meaning to it all, which is not exactly hidden, but it's but I think that you could do it in a way that's sanitized, that's not hitting those same themes, and it is very much just a shooting all these bugs and rah sort of way. But I think you got to give it all. I mean, I don't know. At the same time, like I assume it's got to be pretty different, because otherwise, do we need this? So we'll see what he's got. But if he can work up to District 9 potential, then maybe we got something. So yeah. All right. Last two headlines I think are really, really cool, really, really fun, really, really exciting. Coyote versus Acme lives. The movie has been saved from the clutches of the evil Warner Brothers, snatched from them as part of a acquisition deal from Ketchup Entertainment. That's right, a company that has decided to name themselves Ketchup Entertainment, and they struck a deal with WB to I guess just have the rights, and it sounds like we're going to be getting a theatrical release of Coyote versus Acme likely next year. So we still have a bit of ways before it'll actually come out. But yeah, I don't know if $50 million. $50 million was the purchase price to acquire all rights to the film.
Wow.
So now it sounds like more than just distribution rights. So it kind of sounds, whatever money this movie makes, if it indeed makes money, goes to Ketchup Entertainment. I assume WB is kind of cut out of, from at that point. So, yeah, I mean, and for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, this was a movie made by WB, finished by WB, ready to be released, and then was shelved so that they could obtain a tax write-off because,
they're hemorrhaging money from making shit that doesn't...
Hemorrhaging money, apparently.
Making things that don't have
and by
scripts.
all accounts, this got a lot of... test screenings and like really, really great audience response. So it was kind of just like, oh, we really wanted to see this, and everyone involved seemed to like really think they had something special, and it was done. It wasn't like they had to put more money in. It was literally fucking done, and they just shelved it, never to see the light of the day, until now. And they negotiated, I think last year, like, oh, maybe we'll sell it, and then no one was biting, so it kind of seemed like it was going to be dead again. But not. It has been saved, which is very, very exciting, and I hope when it does come out, that it makes a fuck ton of money. I would like to cover it for the pod. I want to see it after this so many years. I mean, there's so many fun facts right there. 30 minutes of fun facts just talking about what the hell happened here. So yeah, I'm really keen to see this movie finally. So I think it's very exciting to, guess WB is getting $50 million out of it, but it would be really, really nice if they're getting deprived of many more millions of dollars at the end of the day because of their dumbassery.
Fuck them.
But we'll see if we get to enjoy that part. Maybe they're right. Maybe it doesn't make money. Maybe it's not that profitable or marketable, but I don't know. There's so much here. I want to see this translate into something hugely successful, but glad to see that we will be able to see Coyote versus Acme, which very exciting. Very exciting. Any thoughts on that? Are you ready to talk our final headline?
I remember that when that happened. That's really interesting. Ketchup Entertainment out of nowhere, $50 million. Wonder how they must have a shit ton of investors. Who are they?
So I think they actually put out a Looney Tunes movie earlier this year. So it is. I don't know if that was a partnership with WB, who I believe owns the Looney Tunes and stuff. I don't know what is their deal. I don't really know much about Ketchup Entertainment. They secured distribution rights to The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, which came out, I think, earlier this year. They put out that Hellboy movie in the US, the newest one, which apparently was like, better than the other Hellboy movie, but not as good as the other Hellboy movies, which I guess is not the worst place to be. Like very low budget version of it, but like not bad for what it was apparently. It seems like their kind of shtick has been. There's a lot of movies going back to 2011 through 2016, 17 where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is. So I assume a lot more. So it's like a real indie stuff, and
yeah, $50 million is not an inconsequential amount of money, though. I mean, that's some pretty serious dough.
Yeah, going to 2023, they put out that Ferrari movie with Adam Driver, Memory U.S. distribution, Jessica Chastain movie. I don't know much about it.
They put out that movie with
kind of like this is kind of
with Adam Driver,
the Ferrari movie. Yeah.
Wait, I don't know about that one. I'm thinking of the other. No, I think I'm thinking of
Ford v Ferrari.
Not thinking about that one either. Thinking about the one with Matt not Christian Bale. What the fuck's his name? James Bond. I think it's a heist movie.
Logan Lucky?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of. That's for some reason. Okay. I think I'm just thinking of Adam Driver. But anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's been in movies. He was in that, so I guess that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, Ketchup Entertainment, here to save the day. Okay. So that's that. And then finally, since we're going to be talking about Mr. Robert Pattinson, I would imagine a decent amount when we talk about Mickey 17, I figured we should close out our headlines with some news about what Robert Pattinson might be up to next.
What he be doing?
And what he be doing is he might be playing a villain, or perhaps the villain, in an upcoming film by the name of Dune Messiah, which is the third.
I can't do it. Baby sleep.
Yeah, no, I don't think either of us are drunk enough for that. Yeah, that's true. It might be too loud to really get into it. To fully do it, you've got to commit and
just fucking start screaming. Babies start crying. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Probably not worthwhile. Dune Messiah, Denis Villeneuve's follow-up to Dune and Dune Part 2. He's coming back to make Dune Messiah. Obviously, it will feature a lot of returning cast. I'm sure Timmy and Zendaya and Florence Pugh and anyone that survived the events of Part 2 will probably continue on into Dune Messiah, which I think is set fairly close in time to the events of Dune Part 1 and Part 2. I think there's a little bit of a time jump, at least in the book, but we'll see how they handle it.
Yeah.
December 18th, 2026 release date. And Robert did you read, let's start here. Have you read Dune Messiah, or are you only the first book of,
I'm kind of one and done on the
one and
Dune.
done.
Yeah.
One and done. Okay.
Yeah.
I have the fancy colored pages editions of the first one, Messiah and Children. I'm interested in reading Messiah because it's way smaller. It's way shorter than the first book. I almost feel like it feels like, I guess I think isn't the first one divided into two halves? It almost feels like a third half, if you will.
I gotcha.
Obviously not literally, that the math doesn't math there, but it feels.
I understand what you're saying though.
I feel like the way that Denny has talked about this is he's always envisioned it as this 3-part story, and Messiah is very much part of that. And I feel like Children takes it a bit further. It's Paul's story.
I gotcha.
From the beginning to the middle to where it goes in Messiah, which doesn't mean it's necessarily the end, but it's at least another chapter, a big chapter in his
Paul's
life.
Story,
so,
right?
Yeah. So Robert Pattinson. Maybe he's going to be playing the villain. We saw Austin Butler obviously do some great work in part 2. Character that he is maybe playing is someone named Cytail, which means nothing to you, and I would say it means nothing to me as well. But it means something to someone, and so there's that. So either way, I don't care who's fucking playing. Put him in. Put him in a Dune movie. Oh man, I'm so on board with this. So. That's how I feel about it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm here for it. He's gonna crush a fucking Dune role.
Oh no, you just know he's gonna eat it up. Him and Denny. I don't think they've ever worked together.
Oh my god,
they're
gonna crush it.
I don't know. They're just gonna crush it. I think so.
Dude, Dune 2 is so good. Dune is so good,
and we're gonna get more of it.
Man,
we're gonna get more of it.
I just want to watch it again. Need to watch it. Every time we talk about Dune, I want to just stop and go watch.
Yeah, that's the trouble with something so good is I don't know. You still have to make time for the other things in your life. I mean, literally the other things in your life, but then also other movies and TV shows, I guess you should watch at some point too.
No, I just want to put Dune on fucking repeat. Watch fucking
watch
Timmy
Dune every night.
Watch Timmy yell at the Fremen. Oh man, Timmy. God damn, son.
Yeah, you could do that. Or you could talk about something that you did watch instead of Dune Part 2 once upon a time, maybe a couple weeks ago, whenever it was. And that thing might have been Mickey 17. You thought about putting on Dune Part 2. You said, I could just fire it up right now. Or I could just watch part of it. But instead you said, I got to do it for the pod. Maybe I should watch Mickey 17. Maybe I should watch it because it's a fucking Bong Joon Ho movie.
Maybe I should watch it. Yes.
He's in that caliber of filmmaker like Denny is, I think. So yeah, you ready to talk some Mickey 17?
Let's talk some Mickey. Let's talk about some Mickey 17. Yes.
Mickey 17 is maybe in theaters. I don't know. Question mark. I guess probably playing if you look hard enough to find somewhere still playing it. But I can tell you for sure, Andrew can confirm, it is out on digital, so you can watch it at home. 4K. I think it's probably the classic VOD model. Did you pay $20 to rent, 25 to buy? I don't know what your options were. Is that about right?
I purchased it because it was
It's like a $5 difference, and it feels stupid to pay $20 to rent something in my eyes.
Bong Joon Ho, so.
Or Bong Joon Ho, as he
Bong Joon
sometimes
Ho,
known.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to buy his movie.
Yeah. For $25-$30 to buy at home.
For very expensive.
It'll almost certainly be on Max later this year. So one of the things maybe we'll talk about in recommendation is, hey, is it worth buying right now? Is it worth waiting for streaming? I don't know. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But it is written and directed by that man, Bong Joon Ho, based on, as you said, a novel by the name of Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. So a little bit different already. The film stars Robert Pattinson, and I'm going to do that. The joke is I would do that
17 times. Yeah,
I would lose count at some point and probably fuck it up. So, in addition to Robert Pattinson, we've got Naomi Ackie, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. During a human expedition to colonize space, Mickey 17, a so-called expendable employee is sent to explore an ice planet. Maybe things happen from that point that we'll get to in spoilers. But for now, we've got non-spoilers to talk about. So yeah, you watched this at home from the comfort of your living room, presumably, probably a couple weeks ago. I myself took a theater trek and watched it probably a few weeks ago. So I do think for both of us, probably fair to say it's not the freshest in our minds.
That's right.
But when Bong Joon Ho makes a movie, it's generally pretty memorable, is my sense of it. So I feel like I have a pretty good, read on this, even if I don't remember the specifics of everything. So I think we can certainly talk about it, at least right now in non-spoiler terms, generally speaking. So how'd you feel about Mickey 17?
I'm a big fan. I think
okay.
I think Mickey 17 is it's a different kind of movie. It's certainly not for everybody. It's very while Mr. Ho creates films that are they're always like it's like he's always telling different versions of like classism and just
for sure
haves and haves nots and like the government's position and how we fit in it, and all this. And he I think he did Snowpiercer, didn't he?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. Where Snowpiercer had like larger than life cartoonesque characters. I feel like it's kind of like the similar thing with these characters.
Sure.
To a certain extent, they're just they're just everyone's just kind of larger than life, and the way that they're shot makes them feel larger than life, and the direction that they're told to act in, and the way that they act, like homie's doing voices of Jackass characters. You know what I mean? It's just it's and it doesn't come off across like loud like that, but it's like that, you know what I mean? And then for that reason, I would say it's not for everybody. However, if you're predisposed, like if you're predisposed to satire, right? Like if you enjoy a good laugh and you can kind of dig in to what the story is like saying, I think there's a very good time to be had here. I had a wonderful time watching it. Laughed my ass off. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it's surprisingly very funny. Like, I mean, I think just like
it's a dark humor kind of deal.
Is not, for sure, it's not a little light, fluffy movie by any stretch of the imagination. But for what it does talk about, it is genuinely, I think, very, very funny.
Yeah, I think everybody's great in it too. It's so well acted. It does have it's got a studded cast. I was telling my father-in-law tonight, hey, listen, I gotta go home. I gotta record the podcast tonight. He's like, oh, what are you recording on? I'm like, Mickey 17. And you just rattle off everybody that's in the cast, and there's like a handful of people here, but damn, they pulled some talent in. And everybody showed up for it. Everybody, I don't know. It just felt like everybody was on the same page, which was very cool. Everybody felt right in their role. And when you have a movie with this kind of direction, I think it's not too much to say, well, yeah, like 4 out of 5 people were really digging in and had like they were getting it, and this one guy kind of felt out of place. You know what I mean? That happens sometimes. Not here though. Everybody dug in. Everybody felt very good. I think it's shot exceptionally well. Yeah. And again, I think the way that it's shot really compounds the way the story is being told, right? Like it kind of like glorifies it in a kind of way. And I think it makes it even more like showy and kind of makes it louder. I don't know. I think it's a wild ride. I think it's a funny ride. I think it's a dark ride. I think there's a there's a hilarious dark commentary on our current world of events and like just the way things are, while being kind of like a sci-fi thing, almost kind of like Starship Troopers, you know. I think this is like
very much so in that regard. Yeah,
I think it's a really good. I think that's probably the best parallel for this movie is kind of a modern day, more humorous than Starship Troopers probably, you know. But Starship Troopers has got some twisted humor in there, I guess, you know. But
no, definitely tongue in cheek with a lot of it. Yeah,
yeah. I think it's probably the best. I think it's the best parallel. If you like Starship Troopers, you probably like this. Yeah. And yeah, like I say, well written, well acted, well shot. Cool sci-fi things, you know, like body, like replicating yourself, you know, over and over and over again. That's a neat idea, you know. And how society deals with that technology, I think, is interesting as well. They deal a little bit with that. And
the morality involved. Yeah, no, definitely.
Cool stuff. What do you think about this movie?
There's a lot in this movie. Like, I think it's arguably a little overstuffed because there's just so much that but I don't know. I ate it up. I really, really had a good time watching this. I think that in spite of how much it's trying to accomplish and how I think like something like the second half of the movie is pretty radically different from the first half, like, I don't know. I was just kind of in for all of it. I mean, number one, it's a joy. I've talked about it a lot, but Robert Pattinson is very good in this, playing different versions of Mickey, and I think that is a central part of certainly the plot and you know how things kind of progress, which is really, really interesting to see. And we'll talk about that more specifically in spoilers, I would assume. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know. Bong's sensibilities, like, I think, you know, all the things you mentioned, you know, the way that it's shot, the way that it's directed, like, you know, some of the performances are like, it's all kind of got this sort of zany energy, which, like, I feel like even though this is an English language film, I still feel like it still very much feels like a Korean film. You know, I think just in terms of like, that's who Bong is as a director. And I think that tonally, you know, this is definitely way, way more in line with something like Snowpiercer than it is with Parasite.
That's
even
right.
though it is sort of hitting, like you said, classism and you know, I guess broader political modern day politics sort of things. Like, I think it is very much hitting on a lot of very topical, relevant themes. The way that it's doing it is again through this kind of zany energy, which is closer to a Snowpiercer. I've heard it also compared to Okja, which I never actually watched. So
that's the with the big pig looking thing.
Yeah.
I've never seen it either.
So, I mean, I've heard that's good and interesting, and I you know, I there's still a few I haven't seen from Bong, but you know, the ones that I have seen, I've seen The Host, I've seen Snowpiercer, I've seen Parasite, and now I've seen Mickey. So I'm like,
I think
I'm like
right there with
there.
you.
I've got so Barking Dogs Never Bite is his first movie, which that's a Korean language film. Mother 2009 I haven't seen, neo noir thriller, and I think it kind of seems like, I mean, I guess it kind of seems like, at least for the English language ones, like it almost kind of takes on a little bit of a different tone, you know, inherently. You know, when he's using, you know, when he's probably not using his native language to tell a story, which is kind of interesting. But I like that it almost still kind of feels like off kilter and very unlike how any other filmmaker would make something like this, you know, and it's like, I don't know, almost kind of like how Alex Garland's Annihilation adaptation was like, I read the book once and then I just made it up, and like from memory, like that's kind of what this feels closer to. Is just like, you know, you talked about how this was made before the book was even published.
Yeah,
from what I read, like he basically just did it based off an early draft, and I think that it probably doesn't have, like, it probably has similarities generally as a plot, but I imagine it's wildly different tonally, thematically, than, like, because he's just like, I like this basic idea, I'm just gonna fucking go hog wild and do whatever the fuck I want with this. And I think that's cool. Bong's the kind of filmmaker that I'm like, yeah, do do whatever the hell you want to do, man, because whatever you're going to do is fucking interesting, you know, and we're like, we are going to be lucky just to see it. So, I really had a blast with it. Robert Pattinson's great. The rest of the supporting cast you mentioned is great. I mean, like, all over the top in their own sort of way. Like Mark Ruffalo particularly is definitely
fucking nuts.
Nuts, channeling a certain person, a certain person, you might say. You'd say, I think he's probably being influenced in terms of his delivery and mannerisms and stuff by someone. But it's not a character. It's not SNL. It's not like, and like honestly, he's not that far off from the character he played in Poor Things, which I don't think you have seen at this point. But you know,
I can see it though.
Over the top sort of performance though. But it's so it just meshes perfectly here because everything is kind of just, I don't know, turned up to 11 a little bit. Like it's all a little amped and entertaining and kind of crazy. And like, you know, like I said, like even the editing structure, like it starts in one place, jumps back. And then there's a point where there's a whole different like side story for like 5-10 minutes, which was like really interesting. Like I liked that it just went to these weird different places. I always kind of felt that it, you know, even if it wasn't 100% perfect or there, it was always interesting. This was always an interesting film. There was never a point in this film where I was bored by it. I just, I don't know. I found it just to be very, very, very captivating, very just engaging as a film. Like, and I hoped it would be, you know, when Bong Joon Ho makes a movie, and again, for being the first one that he's made in 6 years, you know, it's like, all right, what's he been up to? What's he been cooking? And yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I love a good weird sci-fi sort of movie, and yeah, it's not for everyone. I wouldn't recommend this to everyone. We'll get to that shortly, but for you and I, definitely. Kind of hits the mark. Just a lot of, I don't know, just very fun, very, very fun movie, bolstered by fun performances, shot well, you know, interesting sci-fi setting, just kind of, just all the right sort of notes, the right sort of notes, you know what I mean? So yeah. Oh shit, we didn't even do the box office breakdown. Well, it didn't do well. Let's put it that way. Forgot. I forgot. I'm slacking on my end. I mean, look, box office breakdown. You can do a sad horn if you want, but before we get into recommendation, what I'll say is it's not doing well. It did not do well. It had a quick turnaround from theaters to digital, which you know, we talked a lot about, you know, studios and their thoughts and theaters and their thoughts on the CinemaCon episode, and this is one where I think even they were ready to put it out like 2 weeks after it came out in theaters, like, and it was like, I don't know, like at least give it a chance, and they did actually bump it back. So I think it had about a month run in theaters before it fully went to digital. But yeah, I think, let's see, budget of $118 million, which is a pretty sizable amount, especially for a weird sort of fucking movie like this. It came in, I think it did hit number one its first weekend, $19 million debut, you know, which isn't, you know, amazing, but number one's number one. It, you know, had some decent drops, nothing crazy, nothing, you know, terrible, but just at the end of the day, it's just a movie that cost a lot of money to make, that's not making a ton of money, not only in America, but internationally as well. So, the latest reports are that this will lose WB probably $75 to $80 million, and it's, you know, so maybe not quite Joker Fudafafa bombing territory, but
definitely up there.
Not good, you know, but you know, they made a good thing. You know, sometimes good things don't do well. This is a weird movie, I think, to market. It is probably a hard sell. I don't know that it's a movie that for general audiences is going to be, I don't know. Like, it's not an obvious, I don't know. It's tough because I would not recommend this to everyone. But I had a great time with it, and Anna had a good time with it, you know? So it's like, I don't know, like I think if you're in for something like this, like you said with the Starship Troopers comparison, if that's something that intrigues you, that you think you could, you know, be interested by. And I think Enrique actually talked about it on the Captain America episode when he was on with us, and I feel like I recall him liking it. Now we're going back even further than when we saw this. But like I feel like I've heard a lot of people's takes on it of being like, yeah, I really liked it. No one seems to be writing home as like, this is the best fucking movie of all time. This is the best movie of this year. But everyone seemed to have just kind of a good time with it. And I just think like it's like the production design of it's really nice. The cast is really great. The direction is really good. The plot and the elements are really interesting. And it goes weird, funky places. And it's just a fucking good time. It's not,
and
groundbreaking. It's not Bong's best.
It's a fun movie that makes you think.
Right, it is more than just a bare bones
fun movie.
Sci-fi dressing of a movie. Like, no, there's thematic content there. It is. I don't know that it's hitting it on it in any way that's
going to change your life
before.
Right, it's not.
It's going to change your life, but at the same time, I think it is. As we talked about a lot in our look ahead episode, like you need movies like this because, if you just have 2 hours of someone yelling at someone being like, you should feel bad for feeling this way, or for rich people being fuckheads, or for politicians saying this, and like 2 hours of people just yelling at people, it's not going to get a message through. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to work. That's not going to play. Something like this, it's maybe, I don't want to say it's subtle. It's not subtle. You know what I mean? But it's more subtle than that.
Well, it's satire. Just makes light of it. You know what I mean? And they're such. I feel like they're such caricatures of like their archetypes of people.
Yes. Yeah.
So
right.
it's totally good. It's what it's supposed to be. It nailed satire.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So it's cool.
So all right. So do you have any other non-spoiler thoughts? You ready for a recommendation? Before we jump into some spoilers?
Yeah. We can dig into some recommendations.
All right. So since it's probably weird to recommend that people see it in theaters, I figured we'd use our, I guess, COVID scale / TV scale / I guess at this point, if it's already on digital scale, of at the very top being very yes, followed by yes, totally fine is the middle ground, fine, and then if it's, real bad, shithouse. We give it the shithouse. We don't bust that out often, but we have done it before. So yeah, where would you stand for Mickey 17? Do you think it sounds like you liked it? So I imagine it's going to be in the upper echelon of our recommendation scale. But where does it stack up for you?
This for me is a very yes movie. I think it executes everything it intends to do very, very well. I don't think that when I watch this movie, I don't think that I would do anything terribly different. I think it's well paced. I think it's thought invoking. I think it's funny. I think that the thought evoking things about this movie are not on the nose. I mean, they are on the nose, but they're not on the nose. They're not on the nose to the point where you can't enjoy the movie if maybe you have opposing views, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you could still find value in the movie. I think that it's well acted. I think it's well shot. I think it's everything it intended to do. I think it did it very well. I think it's a very well crafted film. With that being said, I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think that it's just not an every person movie, and that's okay. Not everything has to be an every person movie. Doesn't take away any value of the art itself, right? So, yeah, I think it's I recommend this movie. Although I know that my recommendation might, if I recommend it to everybody, I think some people say, you recommended this movie, but it was weird as fuck, and I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sure. And that's okay, but yeah, I'm here for it, dude. I think it was a fabulous movie.
All right, right on. Do you wish you had made the theater trek, or do you feel like you?
I wish. I mean, I pretty much caught it with like zero distractions in the house because like Sarah didn't watch it with me, and it was after baby went to bed. But I did catch it. Yeah. I did catch it a little bit late. Right, I caught it at 9:00 versus maybe 6:30. I did catch it.
Yeah.
halfway through a bottle of halfway through a bottle of wine, so I wasn't, I was a little bit more, sleepy and after some wine, right? But the nice thing about the movie theater is you're dialed in, right? There's no they're walking around or whatever. I'm gonna pull up my phone real quick, and I'm easily I got distracted here and there, but I wish I caught it in theaters. It's a good movie.
Okay. Well, I can say I enjoyed it in theaters. I wish I could have seen it in Dolby or premium format. I was a little late to the party getting to the theater, but I did see it in theater, and I was glad to do it because it really is just different being able to lock in, in that sort of way. I do think that affects your viewing experience, and for something like this, like you have to buy in. You know what I mean? Like I think you gotta, lean into it, lean into the weirdness, embrace the energy of this movie. And I think the easiest way to do that would be to do it in a theater where you're not looking at your phone, because you just can look at your phone and it's fine, and no one's...
I got a vibration on my phone. My leg vibrated. Let me take a peek at this.
No, it was texting me. Yeah, no, I think that's something... There's definitely something to be said for viewing stuff like this, And there are movies that we've covered in the past that you've seen in the theater where you're like, I could have watched this at home and checked every text that came in, and I would have had the exact same experience, if not a better one. Looking at you, Captain America, or Beetlejuice, going back to last year, where it's just like, I guess you did. I think you did watch that at home, to be fair. But it's like, there are movies where you could miss 5 minutes because you're texting someone, and it really makes no difference. Here, I think it would make a difference. So I think that's fair to say. I'll also go very yes. I think it's really enjoyable. As you said, it's not going to be for everyone. I do think it is very much watch the trailer. If it seems like your thing, it's probably going to be your thing. If it seems like something you have no fucking interest in and looks like shit and you hate everything about it, I don't know that the movie... I think the trailer was reflective of the type of movie that it is. I don't think it's hiding the ball in any sort of way. So I think that that's fair if you're on the fence with something like this of I don't know if I'm really going to like this. You might not. And that's okay. You don't have to like everything that, we like but I do think that certainly in a vacuum, looking at this just for the artistic and technical merits, I think it hits the mark, and then some, I think, for all of those things. So for me, enough to get it to a very yes. I think, it could have been a little tighter. I think there are things that could be pulled out and you could get this down to a 2-hour movie. But I don't think you needed to. We've definitely had movies where it's just like, this movie is too fucking long. It should be cut down. It's a worse movie for being this bloated piece of shit. This is not that. I think that, there's a lot of strands in this movie. And I think they're pretty interesting strands that could have been... Actually, you know what? I heard someone say this could have been a really cool TV show. I think because there's so many different strands in this movie, I think this could have easily been expanded instead of having kind of a few different, things pulling in different directions. So I do think that sometimes, for me, the problem with something like that, when you have 4 or 5 different kind of story things going on at any given time, some things are more interesting than others, and then some things kind of get sidelined in favor of other things happening. And I think that for me, I liked all the individual things, generally speaking, I did like some things more than others. But again, I feel like it all kind of paid off. It all kind of amounted to something by the end of the movie. And it all, I don't know. It all kind of came together, and for me in a pretty satisfying way. It stuck the landing, I think, generally speaking. There's one thing about the ending that I was like, I didn't need that, but yeah, whatever. But it didn't detract from the overall movie or anything like that. It was just kind of I didn't need that. So yeah, I'll go very yes with you. In fact, I would say as of recording this, I'm going to make a bold proclamation and say, this is the best movie I've seen. Well, I'll say as of it's the best movie I've seen ever. It's the best movie of all time. I would say as of seeing this movie in theaters, it was the best movie that I saw that came out in 2025. So move on over, Captain America, Brave New World. Mickey 17 is the reigning champion of movies that we've seen, at least that I've seen. Maybe no,
I didn't see
Captain
it in theater,
America,
but I totally agree with you.
Yeah, the films that came out in 2025, I guess it's whether it's in theaters at home, it still counts for that category. So
yeah.
So Mickey 17's on top right now. You want to do some full spoilers for Mickey 17, Mickey 17?
Four spoilers. Yeah, let's do it.
Four full spoilers for Mickey 17. ... And Mickey 18. Oh, he's an He's Mickey 18. 18's an interesting guy.
Definitely.
Very wildly different personality type there. I almost feel like I almost accidentally, I can't remember if it's in the trailer that there's like a 17 and an 18. I think it might be in one of the later trailers where it kind of shows that there's two of them at the same time. That seems bad. What's that all about? I liked how fucking look, the lore of no, we can't have multiples because there was this one guy who was a fucking asshole crazy guy and he made multiples and then he was a serial killer for I don't know, just that whole 10-minute side thing I thought was great. I really enjoyed that. That was very fun.
The tangents that this movie goes on. You talked about tangents at the beginning. I probably should have said this, but my
tangents
mind
is the right word. This movie goes on in the way that we talk about movies. This movie does the same thing. It was just oh yeah, and here's this one other thing for 5-10 minutes. Anyway, I was saying
it felt very Wes Anderson, the tangents. No,
that's true.
I thought that was fun. Anyways, yeah, the fucking I thought it was hilarious whenever they were printing him out that one time and his fucking plug came off of his head or whatever.
Oh yeah.
They're what are you doing? He's oh, it'll be fine. He just sticks it back up in there. He just always seemed fucked up. Mickey always seemed fucked up.
He's always having a rough go of it. He's always dying in horrible ways. Or not dying, I guess, but
yeah, he's pretty funny. Mickey's pretty fucking funny. I liked how his girlfriend was just wanting to bang both of them, and there was that scene where I thought that was pretty good.
Funny.
What do you think about
18 was down, 17 I don't know.
He had to warm up to it a little bit. He wasn't 100% about it.
No.
I think his friend's always fucking him over. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. No, Stephen Yeun. He's so good. I love seeing him in anything. And he's yeah, but Mickey, I can just you'll come back. I can kill you and chop up a limb, but I can't die. I don't know. Just always something. Mickey's just all right, I don't know. I guess, just
it's fucking Pinky in the Brain or some shit,
yeah. Oh, that was fun.
It's gonna really suck. What else is there? There's Ruffalo, who's fucking just over the top.
The fucking the veneers were just every you're just kind of talking through the whole movie, just I don't know, something about that was just very, I don't know, just perfect for the character.
And I like when he had to he was addressing the people, and Tony Collette was in his ear, hey, they'd really like this, and he's oh, you would, he just parrots, the stuff because he's a fucking idiot. I thought that was good too. I like the little aliens. I thought the way they did the aliens was really, really, it was pretty great.
I like them. They're despite being creepy crawlies, kind of grotesque in a sort of if I encounter them in a small form and on the floor of my house, I'd be step on that shit or sweep it up.
Yeah,
but they were kind of cute in their own sort of way. A little bit, definitely endearing the behavior and stuff, and I don't know, just the dashes of humor of what do they have, the voice would, if they actually attacked back, that they could, what did they say? They could
melt
explode your brain,
shit,
explode
right?
your brain,
yeah.
and then it was all kind of just like a gag, just a bluff was pretty great.
The night show. I enjoyed the night show. When he's on TV, Mark Ruffalo's on TV, just spewing shit. I thought that was pretty great too. I like that.
I liked the dinner sequence. I thought was pretty compelling.
Shoveling food.
Yeah.
Just starts throwing up.
Yeah.
He's fucking poisoned or some shit.
Just all the horrible ways that Mickey dies. Like, I don't know. The idea of the expendable was interesting, and like, I don't know. Like it all kind of came together in this sort of way of, here's the backstory of why anyone would fucking sign up to do this fucking job where you're just dying all the time, and constant answering or dodging of the question really of what's it like to die. And, and everyone's, I don't know, kind of like interested in him because he's this weird fucking guy that decided to do this whole, this crazy thing. And then again, there's this whole side thing of the morality of it of like, oh, this is weird, but I guess if you want to go fucking do it on a spaceship on a different planet, I guess fine, whatever. But don't have 2 of them or 3 of them. That's fucked up. You can't do that. Execute it immediately.
Unless you do it yourself, it's okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought the ending was really satisfying.
What about it?
Like, I don't know. Like they all like it felt like it. And if I'm misremembering, you have to correct me because it began to get late.
We'll see if that's bold of you to assume that I remember.
Didn't Toni Collette at the end of the movie, because her husband Mark Ruffalo like blew up or some shit, right?
Yes.
And
18 I think blows himself up like while they're out there amongst the creepy crawlies, the creepers I guess they're literally called.
And he was like on the rover or whatever, right? Or I think
right.
Or something.
Yeah.
And anyways, they have their press conference, this, that, whatever, and then at the end, don't they find Toni Collette like trying to reprint her husband?
So I think that's whole dream sequence. Like I think it's Mickey's kind of dozing off at the end. That's what because like he's been charged with, you got to press the button to blow up the printer. Like you're on your final life. We're going to blow up the printer and not use this thing. And then he has this kind of 5-minute extended dream sequence where she's printed. So that whole thing is a dream sequence. So that's actually where I was just like, I didn't really need this,
well, then I totally agree with you. I misremembered the movie to where I thought that, the whole time her husband like had the capability to reprint himself, so he never had to worry about dying.
Yeah, no, I think I believe that's just like Mickey's nightmare sort of thing of, we thought we were rid of these 2 fucks and here they are back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I think the actual ending of him blowing up the printer and ending the expendable program, and the title card, it's Mickey 17, I think becomes Mickey Barnes, and he's just Mickey. I think that was really nice. The actual, whoa, what's going on here? Mark Ruffalo's back. I was just like, I didn't really need the and one more thing with that. I think that he had served his purpose. Toni Collette had served her purpose. She
blew up too, yeah?
She made all the sauce that she needed to make. I don't know if she blew up. I don't remember exactly what happened to her. But I feel like she stayed back on the ship. So I don't think that she necessarily... I don't recall her blowing up.
He went down. He went down because he wanted to be like...
He went down because I was like, yeah, you gotta be a badass and take it to them and blow up the fucking creepers and blow them off the face of the earth and use this, toxic gas that we've developed from Mickey, and like, you're gonna fuck them up because you're gonna show them how cool and badass you are, and he's just complete fucking ridiculous goober the whole time. This fucking teeth. But yeah, I don't remember what happened to her. I don't remember what happened to her. I don't know. Yeah. I guess that's what happened. That's what happens when you've watched a movie a couple weeks ago. You don't remember every little detail, but
that's right.
Someone can answer that question, and the movie itself, I'm sure, answers the question as well. But yeah, I think I have seen a lot of people saying they didn't like as much. Like, it felt like the expendable aspect of the plot kind of goes out the window, in the sense that, like, once you have 17 and 18, like, he's not getting reprinted and stuff like that, and then it kind of turns the focus more onto the alien threat and stuff like that. But I kind of liked all that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think that, like, and the thing that I talked about, like, could this be a TV show? I'm like, yeah, you could make a whole season of just different Mickeys, before you even get anywhere close to this plot of, the alien threat. But I think I liked that it shifted gears. You have a lot of the Mickey stuff, and then you get the 17-18 dynamic, which is fun and obviously relatively short-lived. But
I think at a certain point,
thing.
At least I would hope for myself if I was a replicant. Or not replicant, but a expendable, right? Sure. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, I would be tired of dying in excruciating ways.
Yeah.
Even if I could, I would still not like the experience of dying. It's like stubbing your toe. Well, I don't want to stub my toe anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And B, hopefully I could find ways to avoid dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I would think that eventually the number of reprints would slow down because, I want to try to like fucking not die, The first couple times maybe it's okay because I know I'm going to have reprint. Maybe not the first time. The first time I'd be a little nervous, right? Is this shit really, am I really going to come back out the other side? Is this actually going
to work? Right.
But once I I came back. All right, fuck it.
Right.
Okay, and then maybe after close to 20 times, oh man, I'm getting really tired of fucking dying. This really sucks.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't buy into the fact that we don't need 95 Mickeys. I think Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, I think that's enough. I think that's good. I'm with Mickeys.
You. Sufficient quantity of Mickeys.
And they're no longer having to like ship them down to the place too. Like the point of the expedition is slowly starting to pivot, right? So now we've established that there's like toxic gas on the planet. We can make an antidote and this and that. Right. We're gonna send them out to explore, and
they're actually a full-fledged like colony, at the end too. So it's the exploration side. Like now they're at the settling stage. Like I don't know, they don't.
Dying's going to slow down a little bit.
Right. Exactly. Things have theoretically stabilized. It's a little bit more sure-footed in terms of like what's going on. You're not worried about these things. So. Yeah, and I just think for a personal arc, Mickey, I don't know, just getting a chance to live, obviously got into some bad shit, on Earth, had to get out of there, did it in a I don't know, less than savory way, but if he found love, and he just gets the chance to live, and it's like a generally nice, like I think pretty happy ending. If he's got some sweet alien friends too, which is cool. So I don't know, I liked it. I liked that it, and that's almost where like the dream sequence. I was just like, I don't know, man. Like obviously I don't need every movie to be super happy ending and like everything's good, but here it felt so earned because this is a character who's been through the ringer, who's died 17 times or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, give this guy a fucking break.
Yeah.
His friend's a scumbag. He's had to deal with fucking Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette for an entire however many months on this fucking shit. Like, I don't know, man, give this dude something. So I felt like, this is the kind of movie that if it ended with, obviously 18 died so that 17 could actually live. But like, if this movie ended with all the Mickeys are dead, like, I don't know, like that's just a bummer, man. Like, give us a little bit of hope, Bong. Doesn't all have to be fucking bad. Yeah, we know the rich people are gonna fucking win, because they've got the money to do it. But I don't know, give me a story where maybe they don't. I don't know, a little something to inspire us, and feel hopeful about how ending. Things could go. So yeah,
they're for it.
I agree. Any final thoughts for you on Mickey 17?
No, I think that would be it.
Alrighty. Do you have any other thoughts in your brain swirling around about things you've maybe been up to recently? Since we hasn't been that long since we recorded, but all right, tell me about it. What you been up to?
So there's a lot of things on the television that are coming out at a rapid pace.
True. Yeah, there's a lot
of things coming out right now. So I'm doing my best to try to stay on top of that shit. I finished Daredevil.
Okay, nice.
I finished Severance, which I think we talked about that before.
First season, right? Are you on to season 2 yet, or
haven't started season 2? No, I stopped. I quit watching
There's a lot of other stuff
one
on TV or it's about to air, etc. So maybe a pause is necessary.
But before I kept watching everything else, I did put a book in Daredevil.
Gotcha.
It's very good.
Yeah, I think we'll hopefully cover that number one when I get a chance to watch it. And number two, when we have an opportunity to bring Enrique on, I think is probably the plan. So probably not next episode, but down the line, in the near future, hopefully.
I've watched Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4.
All four toy stories of the toy?
Yeah, I've watched them all.
Wow.
That's cool. Those are good.
I think they're making a fifth one. So
yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that. And like the fourth one, I definitely don't need the fourth one. 1 through 3.
Bangers. Nothing but bangers.
1 through 3 is a perfect arc. Beginning, middle, and end.
I recall 4 being good, but it's kind of it's kind of like a Woody story. It's not really like a full on Toy Story.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's
a little bit more of an afterthought, I guess, probably in terms of
release timing too. You should just call it Woody's story, and that'd be totally fine. You know what I mean? Or like something other than Toy Story. And the other toys are present, but it's Woody's story. Anyways, that's fine. I think this next one sounds like it's going to be Buzz's story. You know,
maybe that's what it is. Yeah,
Toy Story, a Woody story. You know,
maybe Buzz already sort of got his own story in Lightyear, though. Did you watch that?
I did watch that actually. Have you seen that one?
Okay. I haven't seen that one. I heard it wasn't great, but
it's not great. But it's a really cool premise. It's the movie that Andy went to go see.
Yeah.
That got everybody pumped up about Buzz. It's the movie that the toys are based on, which is fucking cool. Like some serious meta going on there.
Yeah, that's a neat concept. If only the movie itself was, but maybe that's true to life. Sometimes blockbusters are disappointing, right?
Yeah, and that's totally okay. I mean, don't get me. It's cool. I mean, it made some people squirm because there's like a queer person in it, which is come on.
Oh no!
Yeah, heaven forbid, right? Jesus. Anyways, that's besides the point. It's okay. It's not great, but it's fine. We watched. I did watch Monsters Inc., but I also watched Monsters University recently.
Yeah.
You know about that one?
I do. I saw it when it came out, which is to say, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've never seen it before. I've only ever seen Monsters Inc. Let me tell you something.
That was a big gap between movies, I feel.
Big gap. It was almost a decade. I think it was maybe a decade or maybe a little bit more. I think it was 2011 though. I think it was a decade.
Okay.
And good movie. Like it was, don't get me wrong. It's not a 90%er, but I looked it up. It's a solid 80%. It's what it is on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's definitely Rotten percent.
I don't know. Like when University came out, I was like, I don't know. You need another Monsters movie, whatever.
I don't need it.
Then I watched it. I was like, all right, it's pretty good.
It was pretty good. Definitely had a lot of fun with that one. Let's see. Jurassic Parks. I've recently watched all the Jurassic Parks.
Just Parks.
Oh, Jurassic Parks and Jurassic Worlds, I should say.
All of them?
Watched them all. Yep. And one is just so good, dude. One is fucking incredible.
It's a high bar, and they haven't really come close to it yet.
Never. Nah, they haven't come close. And we've talked about those, I think, in a bonus episode or whatever, but Jurassic Park, definitely a banger.
We've covered a lot of the more recent entries, but and I guess we talked about it a little bit, I think even on the last episode, I guess, too, just because I think Rebirth, whatever it's called. But I think they showed stuff.
Yeah, it's coming out with some sort of weird... Yeah, anyways. I watched those with the baby. And I'm trying to think if we watched anything else. I want to say that I have. I finished up Daredevil. I finished up Severance.
I know there's two other big shows that have started airing, so I don't know if you've started with any of those.
I did start The Last of Us.
Okay.
I started that. And
it's 2 episodes in. I am 0 episodes in. Just I am
2 episodes in. Okay. I have not started Andor. I need to get on that. That one's a good one.
Yeah,
but I haven't started. Yeah, I think it's a
first
3-episode
three.
premiere.
Yeah, I think they're doing 3 a week. So I think the first 3 have dropped. So
it's like an arc. It's like an arc. It's arc a week. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the general idea. I think time jump in between each arc and basically feeding right into the beginning of Rogue One is the idea, because this is it. This is the final season of Andor.
Incredible.
The reviews are very good. By all accounts, it seems like it's maintaining the quality that the first season had.
I'd actually want to rewatch Andor. I might try to rewatch Andor with Sarah, because she never watched it.
Okay.
And I feel like it's rewatchable, you know?
Probably. I don't know. I'm not going to commit to doing that, because still got quite a bit of Daredevil to watch. But
yeah, you got a lot. You got a lot to go.
If I had all the time in the world, yeah, maybe. But
new Magic set came out. Probably talked about that last week. I am putting some cards in my decks. I got them pretty much ironed out. I'm going to be kicking ass next time we all get together and have a Magic night, which is pretty.
All right.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
All right. Very cool.
We're looking for Sarah a car. That's cool. We got to get a new car before the baby gets here. We have a baby shower. We have a baby shower this weekend. Or baby sprinkle. It's a baby sprinkle.
Okay. What's the difference?
The difference between a shower and a sprinkle is a baby shower, I am told, is like that's your first baby, right? So you don't really have anything.
So number 2 is less special.
Number 2 is just a shower.
You have a bunch of the shit from number 1 that, like, if you kept it around, you can, okay, all right. So
right. So baby shower. We just need, like, what do you want? What do you need? Just give me diaper. If you're getting me anything, we don't need anything. But if you want to get me anything, just give me like infant, like itty bitty baby diapers and formula. I'll just take food and diapers.
Sense. Yeah, necessities.
Yeah, because we're equipped now. You know.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Now I understand. I didn't know that, but now I understand.
Yeah, what else have we got going on? That baby's birthday is going to be June 20th, which is pretty exciting. Little Nolan.
Coming up, couple months or so. Yeah. Exciting.
I'm trying to think of... Yeah. So aside from really searching for Sarah's a different car setup for her, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I've started a boater's course, so I can know how to safely navigate the waterways and how to do a boat.
That's important. As a former,
I grew up on boats.
It's important to know how to drive boats.
Yeah,
operate boats.
But I am not above learning like the proper, like, I just learned by other people using a boat. That doesn't necessarily use the proper way to use a boat.
Yeah, doing it the legit way is probably a good idea.
Right. So I'm two units in. I've aced both of my tests, so that's pretty fucking good. Got 100% on both of them.
Nice.
Which is like a driver's course. It's really nothing to be super proud about. But
at the end of the day, though, if every driver on the road did not have to take any sort of driving test, it'd be the fucking lawless wild west out there. And it already is in a way. It already is in a way. That's what I'm saying. Like, just take away the fact that even people did the bare minimum at one point in their lives, even if it's been 80 years and they should be required to retake that shit. Imagine if they had never done it in the first place. How fucking nuts it would be.
It'd be nuts. I think that's really it. It's really all I've been up to. It's a lot, though.
Yeah. All right.
What about you, dude? Have you guys been busy? Anything exciting?
We went up to New York for Easter, celebrated with Anna's family, which was nice. Happy Easter, all. I guess it's in the past now.
Yeah.
But
I did do that. I dressed up as an Easter bunny.
Yeah, that's right. We did. That came up on the last episode because that's what delayed us from starting at a reasonable hour.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
So people did hear about that a little bit. We might have already said Happy Easter, but you know what? If we said it twice, I guess that's okay.
Really want to make sure you guys have a Happy Easter.
I haven't been up to a lot, I will say, because we've like sped through the Defenders, and we wrapped it up like right before we recorded last time. So I think I talked about that. And we haven't gone into Daredevil season 3 yet because we were out of town. We got to wait for the nice TV surround sound setup, and we just haven't had time this week to get to it. So in terms of like the other stuff that I've been up to is just like the random shit that I didn't talk about last week. I've been watching it's a YouTube web series called On Cinema at the Cinema. I don't know if you know anything about it.
No, never heard of it.
Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington are kind of the two comedians that are the hosts of it. So I think it was on Adult Swim, or at least on Adult Swim's website for the first bit. And I think they've splintered off and now kind of do it independently now. But it's this very, very long running like film critique show sort of thing. And it's spun off into this whole crazy fictional universe where there's a spinoff series called Decker where Heidecker plays a spy. It's like a James Bond thing, like a super horrible low budget thing. And there's this whole universe that has just spun from this ridiculous web series, which is incredible, which started as a podcast as well, which I haven't listened to that. But yeah, it's like every episode is not dissimilar to what we do. They just, talk about a movie or two movies and talk about it. But I think the particular humor in it is like, there's this backstory of like, these two don't really like each other that much. There's always something going on with Tim and the movies they talk about, they give the most glowing reviews to every single movie. Everything gets 5 bags of popcorn and 300, cups of soda, because they never say anything bad about a movie. So the first, I think the first or second season, and they've done this crazy. They do like 2+ hour Oscar specials for every Oscars. And like the first Oscar special, they're like, The Hobbit's going to win this award. Ian McKellen's going to win this he's going to win the write-in for best supporting actor for The Hobbit. And so it's all played extremely straight, but it's very funny because it's obviously just like the outlandishness of it is very funny. And what is funny is like, they clearly have not watched any of these movies, but they just review things very generally speaking. I'm like, there's times like this is not that far off the mark from what we do, which kind of just goes to show that like, yeah, you can't just kind of make this shit up. Like we should for funsies just do a fucking episode on something that we have never watched and just be like, so what did you think? I liked it, man. It was pretty good. Tour de force. You could do that and get away with it. And I don't think you might get in trouble when you get to spoilers, but for non-spoilers, you could totally just make shit up and be fine, and that's very funny. There's like 100. Minecraft. There's like hundreds of episodes on YouTube, like hours of Oscars coverage. So, and then Decker has like its own 5 episodes. There's a movie they did, I think, called Mr. America. Because there's a whole thing where Tim it becomes a big, I think, Trump supporter and stuff. It's a whole thing. And so I don't know, the universe is it's a lot. I'm doing my best to digest it, but I'm early days, so but it's fun. It's entertaining.
Okay.
I've been trying to game a bit more as well. Wow. I will say. So I finally finished Midnight Suns, which I started a while ago. I know I've talked about it.
Marvel XCOM
on and off on the pod. Marvel XCOM is Marvel XCOM plus cards. Okay. So yes, basically. Really, really enjoyed it. I think the gameplay of it was awesome. I like the Marvel side of things. Would definitely recommend it. It's a game that goes on sale frequently, every platform. Get it for cheap. It's really, really fun. I mean, I like the card sort of thing, the deck building aspects of it. But the story's pretty good. It ends kind of a little bit with a whimper. The actual story of it kind of feels like it wanted a sequel, but it didn't sell that well, so it's not getting a sequel, and probably never will. So I do think that's kind of unfortunate, but I think I put like 80+ hours into it at the end of the day. Like, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Granted, that was over the span of probably literally a year, but because I would go through phases where I stopped playing, went back, etc. But I finally finished it because I wanted to put it to bed so that I could go on to really one big other game, which I had been meaning to start months and months ago and never did, and that is The Last of Us Part 2, which I never played. I bought when it came out, never played it, and I was like, I really want to play at least most of it before season 2 of the HBO show airs, and I kind of fucked that up. So I am trying to try to roughly keep pace And I don't think I'm quite at the point because, you know, the internet is dark and full of spoilers. I know about things. So I'm not quite at a certain point in the game, which I think I at least want to be at that point in the game before I start watching the show for season 2. So my goal is to plow through a bit of Last of Us Part 2 and then catch up on the show. And I don't want to get, like, I would like to watch week to week because I know it's one of those shows that something big happens within an hour of it being out, the internet is ablaze. And, you know, if you're not,
you just have to stay off the internet.
Then you're going to have to stay off the internet, or you're going to have to accept that you're going to get spoiled by things. So I'd like to be in the position where I was with the first show, with the first season, where I was like, I kind of know the general like layout of it. And it's like, the interesting thing is going to be, how are they adapting this? You know, like they made changes in that first season. It was generally plot-wise very similar, but where they made changes was really, really interesting and compelling to see that. And I'd like to have that perspective. So doing my best. So I've put like an hour and a half in it. I'm not that far, but I am slowly working through it. So I'm going to try to quickly work through it without, you know, putting myself in a position where I'm not having fun, enjoying it and all that stuff. So yes, been playing The Last of Us Part 2. I finally started it. Oh, and I'm doing the remaster. I paid $10 to do the remastered PS5 version. It looks great. But I've been playing that. I've been playing that exclusively at home in the theater room setup because that's a kind of game that I want the pristine setup for. I don't want to play it on the PlayStation Portal and stuff like that. So when I was out of town for the weekend, I did decide, if I'm not going to play The Last of Us, I want to have something set up so that I can play it on the Portal while I'm gone. And so I had listened to a podcast recently talking about this video game series, and so I started the game called Yakuza 0.
What's that?
This is so the Yakuza series, which is also now known as which is just fully now known as Like a Dragon. It's a long-running Japanese video game franchise. I don't know if you've heard of the Yakuza games or anything like that. But they are.
Yakuza was that the guy from Tekken?
No, Yakuza is like the Japanese mafia. You know, the organization. So this is a
with the tattoos on the back.
With the tattoos on the back. That's right.
I keep cutting you off.
That's right. No, that's you're exactly right. Yeah, they've made a million of these fucking games. Zero is technically a prequel to the original game, which I think came out in like the early 2000s. But it's been recommended as like, this is a great entry point, and it's very, very plot driven so far. Like the actual gameplay is like a brawler. You know, you beat the shit out of people. Very minimal guns, I guess, because Japan guns are pretty rare. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, like it takes place in Tokyo, and you know, you're kind of an up and comer in the world of the Yakuza, and you get framed for murder, and you're trying to, you know, get your way out of that and work your way up the ranks, or get out of the, you know, there's a whole things going on. I think there's a second character which I haven't, like, that you play as, that I haven't gotten to yet because I've only finished the first chapter. But yeah, like I did like 3 or 4 hours of this just on the Portal, and it's a PS4 game, so I feel a little bit better about playing it on the Portal versus something like The Last of Us, which I want to play on the PS5, you know, on the TV and all that jazz. So really enjoying it so far. There's like, I mean, if you put all the Yakuza games to like staple them together end to end, it's probably like 500 hours of shit. So like, I'm definitely never going to do that. But this one I'm enjoying. There's like remastered versions of all the games, like 1 through, I think there's 7 mainline games, but then there's also like 6 or 7 spinoffs from those. So there's one now that just came out in the past year that's like a pirate game, you know, so it's just nuts. They're ridiculous. But and at some point they switched it to like turn-based combat, which I'm like, okay, that's actually intriguing. So yeah. And then lastly on the video game front, I spent a good chunk of my night last night fighting the Best Buy website and website for some of these other fucking retailers so I could get a pre-order in for the motherfucking Nintendo Switch 2. So I got one in.
Oh, look at you.
Coming out June 5th. Got the bundle with the Mario Kart World Tour. It's like the open world Mario Kart game, which looks pretty cool. Yeah, no, we're going in on a Switch 2 day one. Pretty excited. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for me to go back into Tears of the Kingdom because it's getting a visual and performance upgrade with the new hardware. So I'm pretty excited. Like I maintained I bought the Switch when it came out at launch, loved it, enjoyed the hell out of Breath of the Wild and many games since then, and I've been like, where's my Switch Pro? They put out the OLED, they put out the light.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want something that upgrades this fucking 10-year-old hardware at this point, and it never came. So
nunchuck looking thing, like my sticks on my fucking Switch suck.
Yeah,
dude.
like everything's run ragged, and I just want, I don't know, I want something new. And so now this is like it's pretty solid hardware. Seems to be roughly PS4 Pro equivalent, which for a handheld device effectively
That's
is really
insane.
impressive. Obviously, you have
Especially for Nintendo.
your Steam Decks and stuff, but Nintendo getting up with the times, giving us 4K and everything. It just feels like, oh man, finally. I'm sure in 5 years it'll feel dated again, but I don't know. I'm really excited right now. So, looking forward to getting in on that fun. And last thing I'll say, because I clearly have not done a lot of film and TV stuff based on everything that I've said so far, very much outside of the norm of what we're up to, what I'm up to typically. Listen to Underoath's most recent record, The Place After This One. I think anyone that's an Underoath fan would recommend that too. I think it's a nice, it different from their older stuff, but a good evolution, a good kind of almost mix of their two most recent albums. Underoath is my personal favorite band, and I don't think that's a sentiment that's going to be shared by most people listening to this, but that's okay. For anyone that is into,
Cool.
metalcore, post-hardcore, anything along those lines. I think this one, it's got, I don't know, some Bring Me the Horizon tendencies here and there. I've never been a huge fan of theirs, just like more electronic influences and stuff. But I think it's integrated pretty well on this album, so would recommend it. So again, I realize that's going to be a bit of a niche recommendation for a lot of folks listening, but it's a little insight into the kind of music that I listen to. So maybe someone will value that I listen to. I bought the vinyl, and I've played it I think twice while Anna's been out of the house, so that goes to show. That's what it is. That's what we got. Yeah, I hope to dive into Daredevil season 3, and then of course Born Again. I'd like to run through that pretty quickly. We're coming up on the weekend from when we're recording, so my hope is I'll have time to get through that. Andor, Last of Us. There's just so much shit, man. I'd like to watch Severance too, but it's all gonna kind of have to wait. We've been watching a lot of Abbott. I guess I haven't talked about that, but we're almost done with the newest season.
Pretty far behind on that.
So I think we're only a few episodes behind. So I think probably once I wrap up with the season, I'll give it the full proper, like, here's what I thought sort of thing. But yeah, we have been watching that. So I haven't been totally not watching anything.
We've been watching American Idol. It's Idol season, baby.
Sure. Yeah.
We don't have any Carrie Underwood. She left and went to space.
She's did she go to space, or Katy Perry?
Katie, wait, who did I say?
You said Carrie Underwood.
No, Carrie Underwood did not go to space. Wait, Katy Perry went to space. Katy
Perry went to space. Is Carrie Underwood on Idol, though? Well, she was on Idol, but is she on Idol now?
Right. Carrie Underwood is on Idol.
Gotcha.
And let me tell you something, dude. On a side note, okay? We all know American Idol is just a singing show. Singing competition, this, that, and the other, right?
Sure.
Carrie Underwood was on Idol way back. Like, way back when. Back in the day, right. Like, season 3 or whatever.
Something like that. Yeah. Whatever that was, yeah.
Carrie Underwood ain't sang on the show yet, right? Mm-hmm. Well, on Easter it was like Songs of Faith, right?
Okay.
And like at the end of the show, she sang, and she showed everybody what's like all the judges sang before her, and then all the contestants sang. Carrie Underwood can freaking sing, dude. She has got some pipes. She was laying it out. She was letting everybody know, this is my show. It was incredible. It was so good. Veins popping out of her neck, just really getting after it. And this hymn, I can't remember the song that she sang. but she can really sing. It was really good. American Idol's got a lot of talented people this year. If you're into American Idol at all, if you're into these kinds of shows, I think this is a good year. I think there's a lot of really talented individuals competing this year for your vote. So that's cool. Ryan Seacrest, he's delightful fella. It's good stuff. Carrie Underwood's just really nice. She seems like a real nice person, which is pretty cool. So just throwing that out there. We've been watching American Idol. They're like, Monday night really sucks, right? Or Monday sucks because American Idol comes out on Sunday. And then like doing these like 2 to 3 hour episodes, so I don't get to bed till late, and then I gotta wake up super early on Monday, and then guess what happens on Monday night? It's another Idol night. It sucks. Yeah. And Last of Us is coming out on Sunday too. So we stay up through Idol on Sunday, and then through what's it called, and then wake up super freaking early on Monday to watch Idol again on Monday. It's kind of running me ragged, but
and then you get to work for another 4 or 5 days depending on the week. So it's like an extra little present on top of all of it.
That's it. Yeah, life.
But then you get an and or 3 on Tuesdays, and
stay up late on Tuesday. Else probably. Stay up late on Thursday to record the podcast.
That's right. Well, that's not too late.
Do you think when Mickey 17 comes out of the printer, do you think he comes out full of energy, or do you think he comes out all fucked up?
He comes out all fucked up, especially when all the wires are half in and half out. It's got to be fucking disorienting, man. Ugh. Oh man, what a horrible existence. Anyway, all right. Are we good? Is it time? Do we say
good, dude?
Do we say goodbye now? All right, we're good. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. We are on Patreon at patreon.com/watch, review, repeat. You can get early access to all of our regular episodes, except for the last one, sorry. But definitely this one, so you're good. And timed exclusive access to any bonus episodes. We have ideas. No bonus episodes recorded this year yet, but we still have more than half the year to go. We'll do something. We'll make it happen. We just got to make a decision and commit to it. That's all. We have to talk about it before we do that, so we'll get there. Website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You can get links to all our socials there. You can get links to all of our episodes, past episodes, etc. Info about us and maybe pictures are still up there. And our socials, we're on Blue Sky at watchreviewrepeat.bsky.social. Instagram at watchreviewrepeat, facebook.com/watchreviewrepeat. Again, links are on the website, and just search for us on the various things. We are on the various things, so you can follow us there if you want to get the latest of what we've been up to. Otherwise, obviously, just keep an eye on the feed. We drop things as we record, so as we record and as I edit them, however long that takes, sometimes longer than others. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, want to appear on a future edition of the Listener's Corner, you can send that to watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. If you've got something to say, send it our way. Our intro and outro tracks, Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. So with our next episode, I am making a demand. I'm asking Mr. Andrew Meadows, 17, to take a theater trip and go watch a movie called Sinners, because I think that's a movie. It's getting a lot of buzz. It's doing quite well critically, commercially, and I've seen it, and I have a thing or two to say about it. And I think Andrew will have a thing or two to say about it too. So I think that unlike your Captain America theater trip, I think you've gotten away with it for a couple months. I think it's time. I think it's time for a return trip.
To return to the theater. Okay.
So I think for the sake of the pod, I think for the sake of your movie going experience and for bettering yourself and seeing a Ryan Coogler movie, I think that Sinners is one that should call you to the theater, and I'm going to say that you should answer the call. So that's I think that's where we're going to be answering the call. So, perfect. I don't know when you'll have a chance to see it. I don't know when we'll have a chance to record. I don't know when I'll have a chance to edit whatever we do record. So it may be probably a few weeks down the road, potentially, from when we're recording. But I do think it'll be worthwhile. And then hopefully Daredevil Born Again will be hopefully I'll be ready to talk about that then, as a follow-up to that. So that's kind of roughly what I'm thinking, what I'm envisioning for the future is maybe Sinners, Daredevil Born Again, and then that'll bring us into May, Thunderbolts, and whatever the hell else May is going to bring us. So yeah, that's kind of the rough outlook. So Sinners is the next one.
I'm here for it.
Though. So
Sinners it is.
Sinners it is. Well, with that, I think you can take the listeners out if you're ready.
Well, take care now. Bye-bye then.
Later's on the Menjay.